And hello, everybody. Yeah, mics are on. Good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to you all. We are here tonight, going to be casting number four, I believe, fourth week of the ESL Challenger League's Open Qualifier. I am joined, as always, by the one and only Giraffero. Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Today on the menu, we have been casting. So I, as a French Canadian, do have to say show some support to the other fellow French Canadian teams in that instance that are out there. We have been following Psychopaths pretty intensely last week, so I thought we would switch it up and go for another or different, in that instance, French Canadian team, being in that instance Nordic Esports, who are already pretty much all of them in the lobby. So I'm still waiting for an invite from from any player on the other team actually. But in the meantime, the map that we will be playing tonight, once again, if anybody here is new to that bracket format, we are going to be playing best of ones, so it's not exactly backs against the wall, razor thin margin of error, but the map will be Clubhouse here. Do you want to talk a bit about Clubhouse?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, walking right into it. Shoot. So, Clubhouse is an interesting map. It's a really predictable map. It's one of the base maps on the game, so you can definitely expect that this map, frankly, is a known one at that. So, it definitely is not one new to any meta. It's no stranger to its reworks. It's no stranger to being manipulated in order, well, to get a result, right? So, what we're going to be seeing a lot in terms of character selection and overall objective is going to be hard breaching efforts, right? Uh, Coastline in general has a lot of hard breaching opportunities, ways to get into the objective that attackers are going to want to take Enterprise on, right? They're going to want to monopolize any way into the actual objective that will, well, allow themselves to get that unprecedented outlet, right? That way, that extra angle, that edge on the competition. So any hard breaching effort and utility really to aid the hard breaching effort is going to be very, very common, right? And we're going to ultimately see bans that take away that opportunity, aka Thatcher, Thermite, Maverick, Habana, all of those operators are going to be big commonplace to take away from Clubhouse. And in terms of defenders, we're going to be seeing lots and lots of intel, right? The defenders are going to be working their way in terms of, trying to get to the edge on the attackers, attempting to, well, make their presence known and make the defenders' presence known via, roaming operators, utility, anything they can really get their hands on to deadlock the attacking operators and really their hard breaching efforts. So we're going to be seeing Bandit, we're going to be seeing Intel like Maestro, Valkyrie, Mozzie, operators like Kaid, Smoke, right? The operators that you would normally see in a, well, effective uh, composition. But what else can I say? Um, so there's gonna be a lot of plant denial going on, right? Along with that echo, and in terms of attack as well, operators that can aid a plant like flank denial, right? Gridlock, nomad, um, and plant denial. Yeah, so echo, maestro, kind of going back to the intel operators. So it's basically surrounding intel and hard breaching, just to sum it all up into one big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this map it has nothing new. Actually, every map in the Pro League meta at this point gets somewhat old, or none of them are so of the newer maps. So I don't expect to see anything too outlandish or too surprising coming from the meta here. What I feel it's going to come down to is just execution. The strategies and what works, what doesn't work has been figured out. The question is who can do the same thing better out of these two teams. Speaking of which, they're all in the lobby here. Let me just make sure that they're all ready, and then we will be set to start the game. Hey guys, just to be sure, is everybody ready?
Yep.
Perfect.
Imp, are you guys ready?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, good luck, have fun. So jumping right into it here, I will just have to invert the header here because the teams have chosen the other teams that I was expecting. Oh god damn it! What are we seeing here? Why are we? That's not supposed to be like that. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Also, we are not supposed to have this overlay, but that one instead. Thank you very much. And for real this time, jumping right into it.
Alrighty, so our first band is going to be Maverick, something, of course, that we expected. Maverick being above the lines of Thermite, Habana, and Thatcher, right? He can basically go over any type of defender that attempts to make a counter at, while hard breaching. So, yeah, he's a pretty big point of display that you're going to want to take out. And of course, our second ban is going to be Capital. Very logical ban, especially considering his firebolt ability, his smoking ability. I mean, he's an overall rounded out utility operator, and on top of that, having a powerful LMG. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to take him out of the game, right?
Absolutely. The fire rate of his gun is pretty slow, leading him to be not too enjoyed for his gun by some players. Not all, but some players will have a different thoughts or a different opinion on the Para 308. However, the utility that he brings to the table is undeniable. We have seen, it's not that long actually, that people have figured out you can use the firebolt to burn that reinforced wall by the balcony on the top floor to prevent Bandit from, well, doing his tricky little bandy tricks. So that's really why you want to get rid of him, and here we are. Both attackers' bans are going to go against opening up the reinforced walls, especially on the top floor. I'm really curious to see, because I would assume this somewhat favors the defenders here looking at the bans. However, the ban defenders are really good operators as well. So no team will have the upper hand outright just because of what's on the table and what's not on the table.
Right, of course. Let me fix my little setup here. Sorry about that.
We are all doing things behind the scene. And the chat is lighting up. Let's go Nordic. Can't wait to watch some ranked. Hello there. So yeah, everybody is just basically just saying hello. So hello everybody. Thank you all for being here, and let's get the game on the road. Our first defense here is not going to be going at the top floor. Some teams will go top floor. Some teams will go church. Yeah, it's hit or miss on that front. However, we're not going to be seeing, say, a bar, God forbid, a bar defense, or the other realistic option would have been Master's Bedroom, which nobody is going to be picking either way. So here we are, Valkyrie Storm's being quite interesting. He seems to have really unique camera placements. I've never seen a Black Eye being tossed there. That kind of implies that he really wants to keep tabs on who's where regarding the bar area. And the final Black Eye seems to be kept in the back pocket to put it on the objective itself. Are you back? Because I can keep on going.
Yes.
All right, great.
And of course, with the Valkyrie spots in bar, we can definitely relate that back to, of course, wanting to keep tabs on people in bar, but wanting to prevent the hard breaching efforts, right? Because, of course, you can use the a potential nitro cell or use roamer's positions to aid the prevention of hard breaching efforts coming in bar. So, of course, putting that chem there is going to be a positive overall.
Absolutely, and we can see here Storms is going to be rotating through the different cameras. Ah, god damn it. I was wishing to see what exactly kind of an angle of a POV it was going to have. However, that wish is not going to get granted. Yubi, please, can we have access as a spectator to the camera's perspectives, and the drones for that matter? Nonetheless, hard breaching has begun, or at least I've seen or heard one explosion so far. Impact Tricks is going to prevent that second exothermic charge from blowing up, so that's going to be Thermite out of utility with next to nothing to show for it, whereas Hibana was a bit more lucky. She was able to open up their first hatch. However, the firefight does not seem to be happening right now, so Lucky here is right into the utility room, aka blue, but he's not going to be peeking, so it's going to be a stagnating situation for the time being.
So with the thermite utility being out of play, this presents a unique challenge for the attackers, right? They've completely dissolved any opportunity they can get on grabbing up that church wall. So this is either going to have to be a entirely vertical push coming down the hatches, or an entirely horizontal push coming from oil pit to, blue stairs or main stairs.
Absolutely. However, Thermite was out of utility. Hibana was not. That other hatch, that kitchen hatch, is going to be open, so it's not, a total failure on pretty much every endeavor that the AIM team is going to put up. But as you said, Church is no longer going to be a viable option. So the different entry points, or should I say at this point, choke points, are going to be really predictable, and thus pretty easy for the Nordic team to, just stop short. Like he here absolutely knows what he just dropped. He's going to go for the kill. If it doesn't work, goes for the second one. That's going to work, however. He will try to chain this up, but no, it's going to be Maestro who gets the kill. The defense is now well poised to win the round. It is a 2v4 situation. The attackers don't have a clear way into the objective, and they have 30 seconds to do so.
Unfortunate as it is, Habana's going to see an engagement between her and Maestro and get finished off by the Jaeger. That leaves one player left, Buck, and he is going to get finished off by the smoke.
Oh yeah, that round, there was no coming back. As soon as the diffuser was lost, I mean, honestly, Buck didn't even have time to run from one opponent to the other to get the 4-star kills. Should he have had a perfect aim, it was just not possible.
Right. I mean, by the time that the Thermite's exothermic charges were out of play, you can truly imagine the, stagnation of the situation, right? It was kind of a point where they were like, oh, what do we do? What can we do to fix the situation? What can we do to go in? And really at that point they resorted to taking down blue stairs, kind of like how I predicted it that way. They took a completely horizontal push because really they had no other option. They had no other way into the objective, those outlets that we need to have as hard breachers, those things, those extra angles that we need to see, but they didn't make those, so for them not to do that, it just created more and more difficulties as time went on, and it forced them to eventually, have to walk straight down to blue stairs and get themselves all killed.
Yeah. Yeah, once you lost the hard breaching capability, there was next to no way to regain the initiative and the upper hand, so the opening frags are the first few engagements were really, really instrumental in that first round. Segueing into the second one, let's see if that's gonna hold true again, as we're set to defend this time the top floor. That's gonna be CCTV and cash room.
So of course, with it being a different site, it comes with different challenges, different opportunities for each team to capitalize. However, we do know this, but it's actually quite interesting to see, the different team compositions, the different strategies that these teams bring through each round. I really like to see, the way that they can switch up their exact parameters of really any strategy that they pull out. So, of course, it's again a broad statement, but still, I love to see it.
Well, the funny thing is, broad statements tend to be correct most of the time, by nature of them being so broad. The Capital's ban is going to make it pretty difficult here for Bandits to flush Bandit out, so we're going to try to use the flash grenades. A natural cell is going to be tossed in response. That's going to get to no effect whatsoever, and Thatcher's a bit too far out, but and so is S4. So that reinforced wall is going to be opened up with minimal difficulty, even though you had to go through 1 or 2 extra hoops to get there. Nonetheless, with just under 2 minutes remaining, the attackers are now going to be ready to just get into the objective. The kills are now set to happen, because that's absolutely going to be their next step in attacking the objective.
So complete opinion moment here, right? But I felt like really it was still in Bandit's power to where he could prevent the Thermite from getting that reinforced wall, right? Of course, Habano, she was watching the CCTV window, right? That fateful window that you can get, but regardless, you could have had another defender watch it for you while you pick up the bandit, right? I mean, it wasn't completely unavoidable where you could get the bandit charge down. So my question is, what happened there? Was there a miscommunication? Was there a, specific line of reasoning behind that? I just want to know.
well, they didn't even attempt to defend that reinforced wall. So to some extent, it seems to be either they didn't pick up on it being, or on Thermite being in the process of planting that exothermic charge, because once it was smoking, it's just too late to get there and to plant the battery. So we might want to put it down to game sense, like if they didn't realize what was happening. Well, tough luck, better luck next time,
Right, but we are going to be seeing a planting opportunity for the attackers, and that's going to be Castle down off the board for V3 situation. It's up to Skivs, or sorry, I'm not sure how to completely pronounce that name, but yeah, regardless, diffuser's down, so Lackey and Skivs are up to the plate. They're going to have to do a 4v2 situation with a retake opportunity made for themselves. Now, Maestro advancing, he does get taken out, so that just leaves one operator, Lackey, and he's going to be killed, what's more, by the Buck this time around.
Looking at the attacker's positioning, there was nothing to be done. Just like last round, possible entryways were predictable and subsequently cut off. I like how it was, the diffuser, was planted in an opening through that. I believe it was a soft wall. I don't think Thermite went there. But still, so it's basically halfway into the construction site, which in and of itself is like really easy to peek into, and thus any and all defender that tries to go for the diffuser was gonna be a dead man long before he even started to pull out that computer thing out of his pocket to destroy the diffuser.
Right, so one round lost for the attackers, 1 round lost for the defenders. As we go into our third round, the tides are obviously equal for both teams, and now with another hold in CCTV cash room, we're gonna have to see what this round can present us with. So let's, if we are to look at last round and the way that the attackers were able to get onto the objective, hold those angles, we can definitely assume that we're going to be seeing a dual push here. What I mean by this is we're going to be seeing something coming from multiple areas, right? We're going to be seeing something coming from, we'll say the CCTV, the actual wall itself, the reinforced wall, at least 1 or 2 hard breaching efforts there. We're going to be seeing something coming from potentially construction, right? We're going to be seeing a lot of different areas where the attackers could get their hands on, maybe contest, and ultimately control in order to get to that sweet objective.
That sweet objective. But yeah, absolutely, like you were talking about construction, and I don't expect the attackers to just ignore the reinforced walls either. So we're more or less implying a diverse push, or at the very least not a unilateral push, which is exactly what's happening here. Gizmo absolutely going for the that soft wall here. That's going to lead into construction. TIE Fighter, I believe, yeah, he's opened up that castle barricade. I always do find it unfortunate to have to use an X-Kairos to open up a castle barricade, as I believe Zofia would be better equipped to do so, and you wouldn't be using the hard breaching capabilities in the process. However, at this point, it's history. There's not much we can do about it, except to point it out, and with Termite being down, Hibana has to pick up the slack, but it appears to be still electrified. But Bandit is this time going to be more aware of the hard breaching capabilities. He's not going to try to electrify it nonetheless. So that's going to be once again hard breaching phase done. The attackers are now poised to funnel into the objective as soon as they deem it safe.
Regardless, that Thermite is going to be down for the attackers. So, again, it presents that capability for the defenders to get around, right? And the challenge that the attackers are going to have to go through, only having that small Habana hole being opened up to them. They're definitely not going to be able to get through that if they want to secure the objective. So, they're going to have to take an alternative route to this objective, potentially being construction.
Interestingly enough, though, Hibana, if I just jump into her perspective here, still has 1 X-Kairos in her back pocket. So she could have opened a second entry, or she could have enlarged that opening, allowing the attackers to come in crouched. I know it's not ideal, but hey, it's better than than crawling into the bomb site, which does not appear to be the case. So for one reason or another, TIE Fighter deemed it better to keep them in his back pocket, and they're going to be going for pretty much the same push as last time. Let's see. Oh, goddammit, I didn't want to do that. Tapping in chat, my bad. Yeah, so they'll have no other way but to crawl in the objective, and I'm not even sure if that's going to be possible with one row of the pallets here being destroyed. So openings being made, but not really any, say, entering capabilities being presented with only 15 seconds remaining. That's now going to be Diffuser down. Gizmodo is next to Clueless. He was being shot at from the Evil Eye, was being shot at from face to face due to Bosak, and that's going to be round 1 for the defense, who were able to adjust what didn't work in their execution last time and win the round subsequently.
Right, I think we can attribute this to the biggest impact frag of all. That would be Thermite, right? So let's look at for a second the actual impact of Thermite the last round versus this, of course, last round, this preceding round. So Thermite was a big staple in the attack going into CCTV, right? Having that extra angle into the objective, whereas this last round, they weren't necessarily able to use Thermite, right? They weren't able to use him on construction, they weren't able to use him on CCTV, so what do they have to resort to? Habana, right? Habana definitely does not make as much of an impact as Thermite in terms of actual breaching hole size, so it kind of presents that challenge of its own. On top of that, if you're not able to make that hole with Habana, then you have no hard breaching efforts because Maverick is out of the way completely. So in the end, I mean, Thermite is probably one of the biggest operators that the attack could have used that last round, and the fact that he got taken out so early is probably one of the biggest detriments that you can see happen to an attacking team, especially when they're on cache, CC, Clubhouse, attempting to open up one of those walls.
Well, to me, that sounds like the very definition of an impact frag, doesn't it? Like,
right.
Just one lucky kill. It was a run-out, which we sadly missed, but, you know, whoever happened to be on that ledge was the prime target, and Thermite, by some unlucky hazard, was the one to be exposed, and that was, utility-wise, a VIP operator lost.
Of course, a VIP operator as it is, we're going to be seeing this next round being played out with, well, really similar, if not the exact same, team composition on the attacking side. So, of course, the VIP operators that we see last round are going to still continue to be those VIP operators. So, that being put forth, they're definitely going to have to, well, play protect the president, if anything.
Yeah, I've never heard it put that way, but it's so goddamn accurate. Zofia went for an early rush, unsupported by her team, so there was no possibility of a refrag, which would have been pretty easy considering like he's like really low, you know? Just throw a flashbang on him, just ricochet off of his on his toenail, and he's gonna be done for. However, yeah, that's gonna be one player lost for next to nothing won in return, except lowering another guy's health. He's pretty low once again, but even with 1 HP, you still have a gun in your hands. So the rest of the team will have to make do without him.
Right, and the question of, is it really worth it to rush in and attempt to, you know, lower down the defender's health for your life, or is it really worth it to, you know, play passively and kind of do the opposite of really what the intended result is?
So within these bad news, the one good news is the early pick was not a quote-unquote VIP operator, and now I believe, yeah, Legion Bosak is now out of, I was going to say good minds off impact nades, so that run first hatch was going to be blown apart, and now Goni Thermite is holding the angle. As I say this, however, he seems to be rotating, and they're rotating to a pretty difficult angle to push because Smoke is holding that, and we all know how devastating a shotgun can be in close range, and construction site turtle is the exact definition of close quarter. Plus, you know, those toxic babes can lock down that corridor so easily. So right now, he's absolutely playing off time, which will work for a certain set amount of time. Eventually, right now, actually, he'll be running out of smoke canisters.
Yeah.
So as soon as that smoke dissipates, it's gonna be on.
definitely gonna be on. And the fact that he used all 3 smoke canisters, even with the amount of time that he did have to play out, is quite interesting. Yeah, he's gonna be basically dissipated at this point, just completely taken off the board there. So that is going to be smoke down, but regardless, still a 4v4 situation and more frags. However, with a 2v4 and defenders winning, oh my gosh, it's a flurry of kills to end the round.
Wow. Yeah, the very definition of chokeholds, choke points again. There was absolutely no way to funnel through these predictable doorways. The defenders were absolutely ready. Nordic, in that instance, were absolutely ready for pretty much every member on the AIM team to come their way, and they acted accordingly.
Of course, I mean, you really can't dispute that type of predictability, and the fact that, of course, you know, the attackers were able to take out smoke. It just gave the defenders more of an edge as to where their positions really were. And, you know, by that time, by the 20 seconds that they did have, it was basically over for them.
Yeah, unfortunately it was, and it is, you know, the same result that we've seen twice in a row. So, not in a row, but the 2 times that we've been defending Church, it came down to the time running critically low, and then because of that time pressure, the kills were quite easy to obtain. So AIM in their, say, execution are taking themselves a bit too much free time, which I would encourage them to change, because kill-wise, they've shown that they're capable of winning their firefights against Nordic, just not when they're suffering so much due to that time pressure.
Right, I mean, I think especially Church and Arsenal being a very defender-sided objective,
I mean,
right?
they are, yeah.
Yeah, with little to no space outside of the objective, and your only real way being in through vertical opportunities, it doesn't really leave that much well, surface area, in effect, for the attackers to work off of. And, I mean, I guess you could put it both ways, the defenders to work off of, but either way, it works towards the defenders' advantage, towards their edge. But in regards to, you know, having to work down vertically, it's a much harder process than working horizontally. I mean, we can both agree on that one, right?
Absolutely. So if I was just to put it in, the other way around, they've gone for the same push as the first round, which ended with the same result, more or less. So you talking about there being like so little room to work with. If you want to have like some capabilities of strafing, of like moving around, Moto could have been a nice entryway, which they did not even try to go for. The hatch might even have remained reinforced, as far as I know, and that is probably going to be bandit tricksing working. It's going to come down to the wire, but it does. Thermite is now down and exothermic charge, but he still has another one, and Thatcher also has the EMP grenades. Will S4 go for it again? That's the question. It appears to be the case. And yes, so far, so good. Oh, but he goes for the wrong side. It is not the wrong side. That EMP is not going to get the bandage, the wire. And that's also time being lost for the attackers. Thermite is now out of the exothermic charges, and TIE Fighter used apparently 2 X-Kairos, well, he did, to open up the right side and the left side of the wall, so he has a way to peek in, but do you really want to crawl through that opening when, yeah, Valkyrie's in the area? It does not seem too good of a, say, health advice, or a health idea. Sounds better in French. So with that out of the way, the windows are going to be the most likely entry point for the attackers at this point.
Yeah, and this last 55 seconds of the round is going to be extremely crucial for the attackers to have to make their way through the objective, especially considering that while the utility and time they wasted on the hard breaching effort was completely shut down, so they have little to no ways into the objective other than either playing off of predictable entryways or having to make a horizontal push, which either way can be equally deadly to them if they don't play, you know, smart, to say the least.
And we're going to sound like a broken record now, but with 24 seconds remaining, their final push has to happen quickly, and the attackers, the AIM team, has no reliable way to get into the objective, so that's not going to be easy. Gizmo gets a nice kill, but that's only the first one, and they have just 10 seconds to work with now. The good news is you still have the diffuser, but bad news is there's no way in hell this is going to be planted. And once again, there was also next to no possibilities of just running back and forth to kill all of the remaining defenders. The timer was just not going to allow for it. So, with that being said, AIM really has to find a way to make their execute so much faster.
Definitely. I mean, not only faster, but regardless of, the hard breaching abilities, it can't necessarily make or break an attacking run. I think what has been happening to this attacking team, right, the opponents of Nordic, they basically have been relying so heavily on hard breaching efforts that by the time it fails, or by the time that they need to have a second plan, the time is already run out, or they don't necessarily have a second plan, so they basically have to play by ear. They have to really go in blind to any way that they attempt. Obviously, last round, the instance being the windows, or, even before that, blue stairs, or any real place other than hatches, reinforced walls, the like of that.
New feed active.
Yeah, absolutely. We are now in the 6th round, so you could argue, if you want to go that route, that the defense is easier than the offense. Actually, I don't think there's going to be much of an argument. Most of the community is going to, well, agree on that point. So maybe it's just the size that are not too favorable for AIM team. Maybe, starting next round, the scales will be tipped. Do you have anything to add to that, or do you think it's a fair assessment?
I would say so.
All right, great. I'm not just coming up with any random bull crap. Good. All right, the push here is once again shaping up to be pretty similar to the previous one. So TIE Fighter spawning on the west side, probably going to use the using the X-Kairos to destroy the castle barricade. That's going to leave us with Thermite to open up that wall. Thatcher's probably going to come up to help out, and S4 likely, once again, not really going to try to destroy it with the shock wire. Pretty similar executions. The one thing I want to say is we've been CCTV twice so far, and it's worked once for AIM and once for Nordic. So who's going to take it this round? That's like the unknown. We have... Are you still here? It appears as if I've lost my co-caster. Okay, I will just keep on going solo until the next preparation phase.
I am back.
Oh, you are back. Great. Yeah, I wonder what happened. Yeah, so do you want to take it over? Because I've been talking for quite some time now.
Actually need to get reset up with this. Don't mind me.
Oh, well, thank you. Our absolutely not reliable enough software that we use. So that's gonna be. Oh, that was knifed just enough times to allow S4 to get a quick rotation should he need it. He did break the barricade, but with next to no result because he went in and he went right back out. The numerical advantage here is going to come to AIM, but are they really using it? That's the question. That second push is coming again from the construction work site, construction room, and we had apparently Zofia who was trying to cut off that rotation. However, the results were just not there. But Bandit was able to protect that wall with his shock wires, which will work the first time. The second time, however, he will find himself in an unwinnable firefight, thus leaving Hibana free to open up that reinforced wall. And I believe that's how the diffuser is set to be planted. We're now in a 2v4 situation with the timer still being reasonable. We have 40 seconds to work with. It's totally doable at this point, especially considering the attackers have the upper hand numbers-wise. That run-out could have been really dangerous, but Bosak will manage to get out of there unscathed, almost unscathed though, because as soon as he gets back in the building itself, that's when he gets in a bit of trouble. The diffuser now will probably be planted. SKVZ trying to deny it, but the bear TIE Fighter still has too much health to be really vulnerable to that kind of ploy.
10 seconds to go.
I assume you're still not here, so you're trying to plant. It does barely not work. Oh, Nordic are thus gonna get round 6 for their team. The score line is now 5-1. and just in time for the role swap. So that means Nordic only have to win 2 attacking rounds before winning the map. Are AIMP going to be able to use the defending side to their advantage in order to, well, come back of that slight delay that they're into right now? That's the big question, because should the answer to that hypothetical be no, well, Nordic already have won, basically. So, that would be the good time to just check up on you. Are you okay? Do you have any technical difficulties? Because I see you're in the call, so you should be able to hear me, at
15
least.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, I'm alright right now. I was just gonna say though how
10 seconds to go.
there actually are a couple factors working at this, whether the well, Team Nordic, I believe is how you pronounce it, correct?
Yeah, Nordic.
Yeah,
The
Nordic.
defenders, yeah.
So, of course, yeah, there's a couple factors working at this, right? Now that the defending team is on the attacking side and vice versa, we can definitely assume that there's going to be a lot of different play styles at work here, right? We can already see quite an acute change of composition with the alibi and now the vigil being put into play. I mean, to me, it really feels more like a ranked composition than anything, right? Those two operators are very big roaming operators, especially on Clubhouse, a map that doesn't really have the surface area to support roaming capabilities, and especially when you have 2 roaming operators rather than even 1, it's kind of concerning. But of course, nonetheless, we're gonna have to see how those 2 operators can play off each other and really play out the round. But in terms of the attacking side, nothing really out of the ordinary here, other than hopefully we'll be able to see some more success with the hard breaching efforts, and if not, the attacking team can hopefully, once again, adapt off of not having those hard breaching efforts, because of course we saw that the previous rounds, the attacking team wasn't so lucky with being able to do that. They weren't able to play off of anything else than the hard breaching efforts. Of course, they had more success when they were able to open up those good walls, and the least amount of success when they weren't.
So, yeah, nice and fair analysis. What I was quite curious, like you were talking about how that map, it really does not tend to favor 2 roamers. Maybe AIMP were going to be able to use this to their advantage, like say Nordic don't expect 2 roamers, and then they're not they're not pinching like only 1 defender, but with 2 roamers being in a hypothetical 2v4, well, you're able to cover 2 possible entryways. However, the droning capabilities, or the drone economy, if I want to put it that way, from Nordic was obviously going to overpower such play on disinformation, and the composition was definitely not going that way. No Modzi, no Mio to prevent the drones from taking intel, and it was just predictable. The defenders, the roamers, were quite static. They didn't move around too much, leaving just about any opportunity to the attackers to outflank and encircle them, and thus getting the kill in a pretty easy, though slow, methodical fashion.
Right, and I like the different play styles from each attacking side, right? We saw the one round where the attackers would play really hard and really aggressive off of the hard breaching opportunity, and then after that it would really would allow them a lot of time to see angles into the objective. This time around, however, we're going to be seeing a very methodical and slow hard breaching effort, but it still puts a lot of emphasis on roam clear and being able to make horizontal ways into the objective in the case that they aren't able to get those hard breaching efforts made.
Absolutely. This is now going to be a 2v3 situation with 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Not looking too good for Nordic, but it's still absolutely winnable. As I say this, however, the tides are now next to impossible to turn back for Nordic, as the diffuser is lost with 20 seconds remaining. Nice no-scope. I have to say, I did not expect that. He seems to know that the other opponent was going to be on the right side, but failed to identify the exact position of Giovanni in that instance. He was prone and he was not peeking too aggressively, so you gotta commend that positioning as well. The end result is going to be a round 1, a desperately needed round 1 for the AIM team here.
Yeah, so something interesting, even against all odds, the AIM team was able to really bring that back and make the kills that they needed. I feel like it was more the aggression that they experienced, Nordic, that put them over the edge, right? They had this whole fail-safe plan where they were playing it very methodically, very passively, up until the end where they would make that big push, right? But it was ultimately shut down by the aggression from the defenders. It basically
Attackers dropped the
came to
diffuser.
be that when it was a bottleneck from main stairs or from the dirt tunnel or even from the top hatch, that
A bomb has been
the
located.
defenders were able to so beautifully execute it and beautifully take it down in a way where the attackers were just left helpless by the end, and unfortunately we're not able to get back together and win.
So with that out of the way, cash room. Cash room seems to be pretty universal if you look at the composition, both on attack and on defense. I believe, even with the role swap, defenders are bringing the exact same composition as the opponent team when they were defending, and same holds true for the attack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any differences between the two teams here.
Not much, actually. So
5 seconds to insertion.
of course, like I had analyzed at the beginning of the match, you're gonna see a lot of intel operators, a lot of operators like smoke, utility operators that are going to last throughout the whole round and make their presence known when the hard breaching effort is gonna be made. Right, so operators that are gonna want to keep alive throughout the round, kind of like a
Attackers have located
VIP, like you were saying. The
Talking about
operators
thermite
that,
a few rounds earlier.
yeah, the operators that are gonna want to last out their time so they can have, well, their ultimate sacrifice be towards, well, preventing the ultimate objective of the attackers.
And that is going to be first blood drowned by AIM. Losing Thatcher is not going to be too good of an idea because I would assume that there's still a few shock wires by those reinforced walls. I don't want to miss out on that firefight, so I'm not checking just yet, but now would be as good a time as ever. And indeed, there are wires here. The one thing, I'll have to correct myself, the one thing that's different on Nordic compared to AIMP's attack when they were attacking that bomb site will be Buck. That's replaced by Sledge. So that's some vertical capabilities that will not be present by Nordic, i.e. Blowing up the batteries from underneath will be pretty difficult, and the Jaeger ADSs will also be protecting those electrified walls. Sorry. And thus making it next to impossible for the attackers to open up that reinforced wall, even though the hard breaching capabilities are still technically there, with Thermite and Hibana being alive. That's gonna force a, say, mid-round rotation, and the whole attacking team is looking at a push from office now. My question is, who's roaming, who's ready to, say, greet them? And the short answer seems to be absolutely nobody, so they would have free range and make good use of it.
And of course, with the Thatcher and the Sophia being down, this is the definition of an impact frag on the round, right? It really shows how time proves that you're going to need these utility operators to finish out your rounds to be able to really make any waves or movement on the top floor, especially with hard breaching. It is the utmost importance to these attacking teams that they get open that wall, and when your utility gets taken away, well, your hard breaching effort gets dead stopped for one, and if it does get started up again, it's at a much more insignificant spot than previously before. So it makes it even harder and makes more challenges present at the time. But there's going to be 15 seconds left on the clock as I get out of that conversation. 2v3 situation. Low health for both attacking operators. They're going to have to make a push here if they want to win out the round. Sledge is going to be stopped at that doorway along with Thermite Andy is going to be lost for this round, going to defenders.
It's quite interesting to see how much of the attack hinges on some pretty specific and precise parts that can absolutely not go wrong. Talking about Thatcher, like once Thermite's out of the picture, the round is as good as lost. But looking at that 8th round that we've just witnessed, Thatcher himself also seems to be pretty much do or die. If you keep him, the round's as good as one, and if you lose him, well, HF, better luck next time. So with that being said, the attack really is, say, really fragile, if you want to put it that way. And any and all disruption is going to result in a failure by the attackers, which is exactly what we saw. We talked about Thermite being important. Now Thatcher is going to receive the same honorary VIP status from myself. or in my opinion at least, thus making it so much harder to succeed in this attack.
Of course, you might be seeing a little bit of a comeback situation from Amp here with a 3-5 score line. So, of course, if they're able to get 2 more points, that'll make them even in ties with Nordic. But really, in the end, it seems like the most influential spot to be held here is defense. So, in the case that, you know, whichever team does get defense, they're basically going to be, you know,
10 seconds remaining.
it's a definite win from the statistics that we've been seeing from just simple gameplay. But I kind of wanted to comment on how the Valkyrie 6 pick was made to Castle. So would you like to explain that, or would you like me to?
Actually, I'm not even sure if the stream got to see that, as I believe the replays were still on screen, so I will let you take a crack at it. It's pretty much self-explanatory, making it so much harder for the attackers to come in through different doorways and windows. Not impossible, but, you know, just making it so much harder. With the lost utility being, well, cameras and intel. We do have a Motzi, so it's not too big of a loss, but still, it is going to be the trade-off that AIMP believe is worth it.
Right, so the actual 6 pick was to throw off the attackers, right? It basically from Valkyrie to Castle, it was going to make it so it looked like they weren't going gym bedroom, rather another objective, and therefore the attackers would be completely thrown off of the defender's scent when defending this specific objective.
And that is going to be hard breaching, succeeding, SKVZ, my bad. Once again, is going to succeed in opening that up. However, Han is really close by, and once again, close quarters plus shotgun equals bad day for any attacker, and that could have been lucky, but I don't believe he was inside, appears to have gone back out to toss a drone in. So Han's positioning, as far as I know, yeah, as of yet is unknown, but that laser pointer might have given his position away a long time ago, and those flashbangs pretty much indicate that. He's still lucky that the frag grenades come off lucky, he didn't get the kill, but that reinforced. Oh no, he has no choice. The smoke cover will also have provided adequate visibility cover to allow him to rotate out of there, but he's not in a good position right now considering his armaments. The SMG-11 really is not a long-range gun, neither is the shotgun, and he definitely finds himself in a long-range firefight if he has to defend himself in that current situation, which he absolutely will have. It's now a 1v3 situation. Diffuser is being planted. He seems to know where it came down off, but he does not exactly know where his opponents are going to be now.
Yeah, that's going to present an equal challenge just to have to make that takeover. But Smoke, making his way down this first hallway, he's going to have that first engagement with Thermite, but he's going to be bested by an unfortunate loss of intel at the end of the round. And what's interesting about this actual attack was the fact that the attackers were able to make such waves in such short amounts of time, right? By 1:30 on the clock, I was actually taking note of that, they had not only reached the balcony, but they were able to make 2 picks off of the defenders. So what that says to you is that they had, you know, alertness in mind, they had roam clearing in mind, and they had time effectiveness on their mind. So when you put all those 3 things together, it can make a really deadly composition going up against a defense, especially on a more attacker-sided objective like gym bedroom.
And now, that was one of the only 2 attacks that Nordic has to win. We will find ourselves in a match point situation. My question to you, is AIMP going to be able to win 3 rounds in a row, or have we reached that so-called point of no return? And should we have reached that point of no return, would you like to explain what it is to the viewers?
Me and Hans go back and forth all the time on who should actually explain it. It's like passing it off to one another, but I'll explain
Hey,
it
I can
really
do it if
quickly.
you want me to.
No, I got it. So basically, the no point of return, to put it in very light words, is when an attacking or, we'll say, defending team has such a steep hill to climb in terms of points, this being the 3-6 match point proceeding that we're seeing, it basically makes it so tough for them to come back to the point where it is a no point of return, right? They can't return their points back to, the amount that they had lost originally. So it makes for not only one of the hardest situations you could put yourself in, but for them to be on, uh, you know, attack losing those rounds was a big detriment to, self-confidence, maybe in your abilities to defend or, something mentally like that. So it kind of acts dually for that. But regardless, we might be seeing a no point of return situation here. I could wager that if they win back these rounds, especially Church and Arsenal, which has been good amounts of rounds for them, or well, good statistical rounds for them, they could come back here pretty easily. I feel like 3-6 is not a 1-6, so it's definitely doable.
But it's not gonna be easy.
Of course.
Oh, let me just real quick talk with the chat. The Yeah, so somebody had used the multi-command, which I have not updated, and I just had to point out that it's not currently relevant. But I will make sure to update it next, well, in between the two games to make it, well, to keep it relevant. That kind of sounded redundant, and it was nonetheless. That's going to be a hard-reaching attempt, failing due to that impact nade, and Gizmo only has 2 of them, while Hibana has 3 X-Kairos. So should you just keep on throwing utility at the problem, Hibana will eventually get the hatch opened, and that's going to be with the second attempt, thus leaving another 6 pellets for another hypothetical reinforced hatch, or maybe even a reinforced wall, be it blue or church. That drone is absolutely going to get some intel on the defenders here. Who is it? That's going to be Lucky and Storms. Slight pre-fires, but nobody's going to be peeking. As I say this, 2 slight pre-fires from the other side. That's TIE Fighter who wanted to get out of that unfavorable situation, and you absolutely do see why.
It's quite interesting to see the attackers putting more stock in taking out the kitchen hatch rather than the bar, aka moto hatch, right? Because when you take out the moto hatch, you're opening yourself up to opportunities beyond that, right? The horizontal opportunity being the church wall that Thermite could grab. Of course, unfortunately, it's not up, but other opportunities like that. But I'll dead stop myself right here, being that the defenders already won round 6. That was a very swift ending to the round.
Yeah, we've seen it's pretty much the same situation. No matter which team is attacking and no matter which team is defending, the timer runs so critically low that you have no choice whatsoever but just to push in no matter the current situation. And as we could see, Nordics were unable, unfortunately for them, or fortunately if you're an AIM fan, to make any headway regarding the tactical situation. Reinforced hatches have been opened, but other than that, they were still really exposed to anybody who wanted to drop down, which we see Hibana doing right about now in the replays. And that's going to leave us with pretty much the push from the main corridor. Lucky, I'm even surprised he made it to that doorway before Legion was able to turn around and to get the refrag. So the one and only thing we have not seen so far is a moto push, because when you peek that moto doorway, you're not too exposed compared to some of the other options that are out there, and that we've seen both the teams when they were attacking fail time and time again.
Interestingly enough, it seems like Haid, the presence of him himself, seems to be enough of a deterrent for the attackers to altogether avoid the bar hatch. So my question is it really the Kaid, or is it that they're making more of an emphasis on grabbing the kitchen hatch rather than the bar hatch? And of course, being that it's not working for them, I would have to question really whether they should or should not keep on putting so much of their attention into that area.
What you're bringing up is really interesting. Like talking about the deterrent, is it a mental factor? Like, are they just scared and thus, in a metaphorical, in a mental way, stuttering about their strategies and about like their determination to push in, or is it a real tangible threat? That they then absolutely know they cannot go against. I am quite curious, but ultimately we can only guess as we don't know for sure what's happening in these players' heads and minds. One thing is for sure, however, Swaylen here with the reinforced wall on his right side being destroyed, he was now vulnerable on two different angles at the same time, causing him to pull back, which he will absolutely do. And right now he's out of harm's way. But Giovanni droning off of that catwalk, if he's not cautious about when he's on the cameras and when he's not, he might be in a bit of a trouble here, which does not appear to be the case. He has sufficient game sense to know when he's vulnerable and when he's not.
And of course, well, that's one of the biggest questions for Maestro sitting in garage there is, once you sit on your cams, when should you kind of get off of your cams, and do you have a supporting teammate there with you in the case that, you aren't able to get off your cams quick enough to help you out. Of course, with the Jaeger being flushed out, it caused the Maestro to have to stay alert and keep off of his cams, so it then therein allowed the attackers to make an attempt at the reinforced wall, and, well, for that, the Maestro, was completely kind of put off by that.
So right now, Swaylen is in the stockroom. He's been for quite some time. He's been droned out as well, but nobody's really going to push him except for the wall bangs here. Nicely done. He will be extremely low and really with nowhere to hide, assuming he still keeps on getting droned. The openings in the soft wall are being created more or less, and that's going to allow for direct line of sight on him. Thus, the kill was no longer due to pure chance. I just want to point out that Gizmo is pretty much at the other end of the building, and the timer, the time is pretty much running out at this point. So the final push is set to come pretty quickly, and it does not seem as if he will be at least in a good position to prevent the diffuser from being planted. So it's really going to come down to both Han and Giovanni. Giovanni who gets a nice kill. Smoke grenades being tossed, but S4 will be pushing in, and he does. Nice kill. 3v4 now. We have Skies. I've been told in the chat the V is pronounced as an A. Was going to go for the plan, but the Nitro Cell is going to deter him from doing that. Storm's now in a 1v3 situation. He has to get 2 rapid kills in order to plant the diffuser. Will he be able to do so? It does not appear to be very likely. Diffuser back in his possession, but really, he had nothing to do. He was he was receiving pressure from so many angles. Tough luck. That's all I gotta say.
So it seems like this comeback situation is becoming more and more likely
It is.
for AMP to pull out, especially with them being on defense this time around. It gives them that extra advantage, as we all know, for this being a defense-sided map. But that round was quite interesting. Hans, do you want to kind of analyze that for me?
Wow, you're the better analyst out of us two, but I will try my best. So, a few things that I want to point out. The attackers were on the back foot pretty much all of the round. You've lost a few operators right at the beginning. That was unfortunate, even though on a tactical standpoint or on a progression standpoint, it was looking pretty promising. The garage walls were opened up. Heart-reaching capabilities from Hibana were used to their fullest potential. Thermite, even though he seemed to be unsure at times, was also able to open up the reinforced wall on his side. That's going to be by the CCTV, say, balcony. But then it just fell apart when you look at the actual kills. Frag-wise, Nordics fell behind at the very beginning as soon as the round started. Almost, I'm not talking spawn kills, but as soon as both teams had line of sight on each other. AIMP were winning the firefights, which led to an unrecuperable disadvantage for Nordic. Did I miss anything?
No, you did not.
Great.
That was a great analyzing job.
Thanks.
Couldn't have said it better myself, but so this will be our 12th round in succession for Amp and Nordic going at it with the 5-6 score line that we do love to see. We do love to see a little bit of a quarry between these two, especially a potential comeback situation if we do so please. But a little bit of a different switch up here. Jaeger now he's going to be going strip. We don't
Yep.
normally see this positioning, of course, but I'm a little curious to see how he's actually going to make his really point on the round.
So the thing I've seen not too often is you obviously know how the attackers get up there by rappelling. And should you rappel up that wall, well, since that, say, garage door, it looks like a garage door, though there's no garage here, is soft, so you can shoot at the rappelling attackers. However, well, the Nordic guys, they absolutely know that trick, so they go up on another roof and then jump down from the other portion. But still, s11, should he choose to do so, is in a good position to roam or to flank in a hypothetical run-out situation. He only needs to have good, say, timing, and that's going to come down to intel, which is where Mozzie might come in, but the drones cannot really go outside for too long. So really, s11 will have to do it by game sense and maybe a bit by luck. And that's exactly what's going to happen. He knew the Claymore was there. He runs out, and that's absolutely going to work. He gets our first kill, will be immediately refragged, and that's going to be Thermite too late, though. The reinforced wall has been destroyed, and Diffuser is also technically lost, but, you know, there are a few attackers in the general area, so Storms, in that instance, will have absolutely no difficulties claiming it back. So really, it's just going to be a life for a life.
Yeah, basically a 1-for-1 trade. We can't really say that it's an impact frag at this point anymore, though, because Thermite was able to carry out his job, so in the end, it didn't really make too much of a way for the Jaeger to do, especially late round, run out like that, but of course, still a great effort from him, and hopefully that will make a lasting effort. Now with a 2v4 situation, about 35 seconds left, that's going to leave lots of opportunities for the attackers to walk in and to win out the round. That's a round 12 and a 1 game for them.
Absolutely.
Bravo.
It was quite close. At some point we were thinking, well, AIMP might just bring it back to overtime. Unfortunately, that did not end up being the case. And Nordic will be declared our winners for our first game of the night. Yeah, since you are the better analyst out of us two, do you want to analyze the game as a whole?
I felt like Nordic really did have their presence throughout the game, right?
The attacker
Being able to set the pace in their attacking rounds, at least a few of them, that they were able to win, and then the defending rounds were completely theirs, right? They absolutely dominated them. For them to kind of hold that presence over the AMP team, especially putting them in a match point situation, kind of having the pressure fully loaded on them, putting them what you call, of course, the back foot. They kind of were backs up against the wall, having to really play for what they can get and kind of playing passively, trying to play unexpectedly. Of course, it worked for them for a few of their defending rounds, but in the end, of course, Nordic came out victorious, and they were able to really overwhelm the defense in all corners. Of course, again, once again, the gym bedroom defense was AMP's downfall throughout their defending round, so that was the one objective that they could not hold with success, and every time that it came around, it just became a default loss for them. And with 2 rounds being held by Nordic, of course, them only having to win out those 2 rounds, it became pretty obvious that with statistical advantages, they weren't going to win, the team being AMPs.
Well, thank you so very much for that. The next game is set to start in 20 minutes, or the next round of that, the results tab, if I want to just quote the ESL website. It's actually a round robin, so it's really going to be the second round. It's set to start in just about 20 minutes, so I think I'll kick us into a be right back screen, except if you think you can talk about that that last game for 20 straight minutes, which maybe you can, but I don't think I'll have enough to talk about. So yeah, thank you all for being here. We will be back with the next round, as I said, in 20 minutes. thank you for your presence. Hope to see you again then. And as always, we are free to cast just about any match or any game we want. So let us know which team you'd like to see us follow next, and we will make sure to take that into consideration. But until then, see you in 20 minutes.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers dropped the diffuser. Clean drone, clean shot. Lights out. Seconds remaining. Lights out. 15 seconds remaining. 10 seconds to go. Defenders have located the diffuser. Go. 10 seconds to go. Attackers. Reloading! 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds left. Attackers dropped the diffuser. 5 seconds to go. Attackers recovered the diffuser. The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. 10 seconds remaining. Attackers dropped. I'm dry. Seconds to go. Attackers dropped the diffuser. Attackers recovered the diffuser. A bomb has been located. Defender is approaching a kill zone. Defender has been discovered. The attacker. 15 seconds to go. Seconds to go. Attackers dropped the diffuser. left. 10 seconds remaining. A bomb has been located. Attackers dropped the diffuser.
Knock knock.
Attackers bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers dropped the diffuser. Beauties and clean drone, clean shot. Lights out. Seconds remaining. Lights out. Seconds remaining. 10 seconds to go. Defenders have located the diffuser. Go. 10 seconds to go. Attackers.
Reloading.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds left. Attackers dropped the diffuser. 5 seconds to go. Attackers recovered the diffuser. The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. 10 seconds remaining. Attackers bombed the diffuser has been dropped.
And we are back. Like I said, I believe I've said that we will be following Nordics for the second game of the night. It's going to be our last game of the night as far as we are concerned as well. Their opponents today, or this time should I say, are going to be Ancients. Ancients, as a team, they don't ring a bell as far as I know. So I don't think we've casted them before. Looking at the gamer tags or looking at the names on their team's webpage on the ESL website, no player rings a bell either. So maybe somebody hopped off a team we've seen before, and maybe we would be able to know like who they are, where they're coming from on that front. Sadly, it is going to return negative. Refreshing the page real quick, we will be playing Villa. Good map, and funnily enough, I believe we've had the mid-season. We've hit the mid-season point in Pro League recently, like today or a few days ago. And what I want to point out on that front is that I've seen a few infographics of like how the season is going so far, including the maps, the most played maps. Clubhouse being the most favorite, and Villa being the least favorite of them all. So there is that. And with that being said, you want to chime in?
So yeah, if we were to talk about Villa that way, as a potential reason why it is the least favorite map, it's probably because it's the least biased map towards either side, right? It's the most attacker-sided and a defender-sided game itself, being that it gives a lot of opportunities towards the attackers or the defenders. Of course, that opinion is purely subjective. I haven't actually taken a look at the infographic, the statistics for the midseason yet, but I can only imagine that with its 50-50 standpoints on specific objectives that yeah, you can really think of it that way. But talking about Villa as a map in general, it's got a lot of spunk to it. I'll put it that way.
Spunk.
Yeah, it's got a lot of angles that you can hold, those long angles that can be held by attackers, defenders, anything of the likes of that. So what you want to do in order to counter that for each side is you would bring either intel operators for the defense or utility operators for the attack, i.e. Nomad, gridlock, operators that can prevent either misinformation or that can prevent a potential flank. And for the fact that no Villa is uh, a big map, a large, lots of surface area on it. It presents the bigger difficulty for the attackers, being that the defenders can waste more time. They can kind of bring off the attention from the actual objective itself much easier, rather than having a small area like Clubhouse where it's very straightforward going down or uh, just verticality opportunities. So, um, but other than that, it could also pose a potential problem for the defense, being that, of course, they have more area that they have to defend as
Yeah.
well. So, if the attackers are able to get into those little unprecedented outlets that the defenders are not expecting, then that could be a whole different problem on its own, and that might be an end to a round. Simply, it really holds that much weight throughout the rounds, but regardless, uh, expected player bans. You can definitely expect some utility, i.e., Jackal, potentially. He could be a pretty big staple in Villa. You can imagine Nomad, Gridlock, any operator that could counter a roam would be effective to take away, along with a little bit of hard breaching. Hard breaching is not that big of a deal on Villa as it is other maps like Coastline, or not even Coastline, sorry, Clubhouse, or maybe even Cafe if you want to take it that way, but regardless, hard breaching is not that big of a thing. As you would expect it to be on Villa, most attackers can get around having to use a hard breacher on Villa. Of course, it is not completely unrealistic to use one. Um, there will, in most instances, be a hard breacher being used, but that won't necessarily be the vital points of the attack. So we can expect a little bit of hard breaching, lots and lots of utility to aid the plant, to aid any, flank potential going on, anything really, really just like that. Um, for the defense, however, we can imagine lots of intel, right? They have a larger surface area to cover, so they have lots more angles that they need to watch. Being, we'll say, top floor, for example, if you're going statue and library, you would definitely want to have something on the 90 hallway and the two adjacent stairs to the objective. Um, so you would just want to be watching, all angles that you possibly could. And then, what else? On top of that, of course, you would want lots of roamers. You would want people to basically cover your ass in any situation.
If you
Yeah.
flip it upside down, operators like flank deny or flank watch, roam denial, such as gridlock and nomad, or any and all operators equipped with a claymore can be really, really, and will probably be really important. It also comes down to how the defenders want to play it. If they're really aggressive on the roam, well, obviously nomad, gridlock are going to be important. If they're more of a turtle heavy strats, so if they really stay on the objective, well, then opening up the reinforced wall or actually having aggressive operators or aggressive utility to gain control rather than preserving what you already have, referring once again to like nomad gridlock protecting the safe zone you've established, whereas let's say Zofia or even Ash rushing is all about taking control of more ground than you already have.
Right. I couldn't have said it better. I was just going around in circles, about being completely honest. And I'm glad you added a little bit more of information, new information, and a little light to the subject. But other than that, I'm quite ready to get into the bans. I'm quite
All right.
ready for this game to start. We have
Well,
one more player that we need.
you know what? Let's just establish or create a new, how can I put it, um, tradition here. I myself am doing a mistake quite often, and it's misreading or mispronouncing players' names. So while we're in the lobby waiting for them to log in, let's just make sure that we have their name pronunciation locked down before I humiliate myself even more. So Nordic Esports, we've seen them before. The only notable, say, quirk would be Z. The V is pretty much a Y, so it's pronounced skies. However, Keen Minds, Fate, Japanadian, I'll just say Jap, and Ham or Hammy. Yeah, you know what? Let me just
Japanadian.
Japanadian. Yeah, well, in the midst of the action, you want to cut it short because a lot is happening at the same time. So you go, Jap goes for the kill, the flick shot, he gets it. Will he plant the diffuser? Oh no, the nitro cell. You don't want to go Japanadian. Well, that's to some extent me just goofing off because at some point we just have to wait for the fifth player on the Ancients team to join in. You know what? It's pretty small for the viewers, so let's jump into, I want to say, that perspective. Sorry, your camera is not present. However, yeah, so Storms, Bosak, S4, Skies, and Lucky will be the composition on the Nordic Esports team. And on the other side, so as I said, Keen, Fate, Jap, and Ham. I'll just say Ham because I'm not sure if like the E is supposed to bring a Hame or Hami sound at the end. And plus, 3 M's. I'm in the midst of the action. I'm not going to stretch
Ham.
that out. Ham.
We'll go with him.
What am I hearing? That must be the
What am I
multi-streams.
hearing?
Yeah, that's Poseidon, another community caster. He has just brought his stream back to life. The other casters tend to go offline in between two games, I assume to preserve the viewer average, which I tend to let sink in between the two games. So yeah, Ham or Ham. How did you pronounce the last one?
Ham.
Ham. Okay, just Ham. Okay.
We'll just say ham. So, Lucky, Skies, S4, Bozak, and Storms, Nordic. And then Ancients, we have Keen Minds, Fate, Jap, or Japanadian, Ham, and one other.
All right. So yeah, and another. You know what? Since we're at it, let's just jump back into that perspective and take a look at the levels. I was gonna say, but no, somebody on Nordic left. So we heard the sound. Actually, not the gaming computer's audio is muted. Let's just turn that on for the stream. One question that tends to pop up that we cannot really address in the game, since we do show the replays and showing the levels or the rankings are best done during the pick phase. We tend to skip over or gloss over that particular part of going into players' capabilities and skill levels. So right now would be as good a time as any to do so. Keynes is Diamond. Fate is Diamond, averaging a 4,500 MMR. Japanadian Plat 1 with 4,000 MMR, so he's trailing behind. And Ham as well, 4,100 this time MMR, also Platinum 1. Though the record is incomplete, we're still lacking a player. Looking over the orange team's side, you have Storms with a 4,400 MMR, Diamond Bosak, with the old Psychopaths logo, 4,500, so we're pretty much in the same range. S4 is so far has the highest MMR with almost 5,000. Lucky 4,500 as well, and Skies 4,400. So I'd say the average is around that 4,500 number that I've repeated quite a few times by now. However, we do have one or two players on the other team here that is trailing behind, or that are trailing behind. So that average is going to be slightly lower by the Ancient side. However, good luck, have fun, and let's start the game as the players say they're ready. However, individual skill level is going to be dwarfed by overall team cohesion. So that's something that's obviously going to have a big impact on the game. When I stream in French, people will be quick to point out that the MMR is not an exact or not a precise skill indicator. However, it's the only tool that we have at our disposal, which is why I will use it. And without further ado, let's jump into the operator bans.
Alrighty, so our first operator, just as I predicted, it's going to be Jekyll. So it's a very logical ban. You're going to want to take out any operator that can give us a straightforward stop to those roaming capabilities. And right here, that's just the perfect example of it. Jackal with his C7 and ability to track those footsteps. Now our second ban is going to be Thatcher. Of course, I predicted that there wasn't going to be too much of an emphasis on hard breaching. However, Thatcher still does lie in the utility category, so we can really imagine that his overall ability is one that's sought after to, well, ban for that matter. And our third ban in concession will be Mira. Okay. Definitely not out of the ordinary to ban Mira. She's a pretty powerful operator, really, in any situation. She kind of turns the situation upside down and twists it for her own profit and her own, advantage, attempting to get those kills. With our fourth ban, we'll be seeing Echo. And Echo, of course, is another band that's not necessarily out of the ordinary. We can basically say, out of all of those operators, Thatcher and Jackal, the two attacking operators, are map-based, while Mira and Echo, the defending operators, are really just overall bands that make a point to be said on any map, which is, of course, once again, to be expected.
Absolutely. Just another way to put it, no matter on what map you're playing, well, there's going to be a bomb to plant, and Echo is going to be there to deny that plant. Whereas Jackal, he kind of relies on being played on a map where roaming can be heavy or where it can be a significant problem, which is why you want to eliminate the counter to that powerful gameplay, which depends on the map, as you so adequately put it. We're going to be seeing a few utility-based Intel-based operators, which will be Valkyrie and Maestro. Plus Mute, I assume will be attempting to protect those reinforced walls, so I don't expect those signal disruptors, aka the jammers, to be placed in such a way to deny intel on the attackers, so it's not going to be too uneven when looking at the intel that both teams have access to. And as I say this, he proves me wrong.
5 seconds remaining.
Alright, let me turn down the parsec there. I wasn't able to hear you for a few seconds.
No
but
worries.
now I can, yeah. The mute jammers are going to be used to protect the main walls rather than a straightforward bandit, especially because mute has the SMG-11. It's more of a gun thing rather than it being a ability-wise pick, but something interesting to see is the fact that ACOG is not present on Maestro. This can well, we can assume from this, or really predict, that Maestro will be seen in short-range engagements rather than long-range, and the player using Maestro can very well rely more so on his accuracy of the gun itself, rather than a crutch of ACOG. So, yeah, we can definitely, hopefully, imagine that this player is a little bit more skilled than the average.
All right, sorry, I had just had to respond to the chat real quick, because we were going over the players' names in the spirit of not making stupid mistakes when pronouncing said names, which is exactly why the chat caught the small error we've made here. It's not ham, it's home. So the A is pretty much going to be an O. Thank you very much. That will help us to not make fools of ourselves. As with that being said, though, Keen is already putting pressure on 90's hallway, and he will be put down by Lackey. Nice little strafe here. He'll get back on OBJ to plant an ADS device that had not yet been used for some reason. That's gonna leave us with, let's just hear it, Home, who will be somewhat exposed should his allies have not been here, but a few other teammates are going to be in the general area, probably, most likely, in order to try to open up that that hunting room. But Storms is going to be there, or the trophy rooms with the guns. But Storms is going to be there underneath to get in Nitro Cell. That's going to be utility for intel for you. This is how you get those kills, because Nitro Cells on the ceiling don't tend to get those lucky random kills. Fate trying to go for a frag grenade. Had he timed it better, S4 could have been dealt with, but he'll just receive a negligible amount of damage, and he will still be very much alive.
And unfortunate as that is for Buck, he's going to be downed in the process, and this leaves us with a 2v5 situation with only about 30 seconds left. A 2v5, now a 1v5 with Twitch going down. Hame is going to be our sole operator left to defend himself. He just flashed himself, and yeah, he's going to have to be pulling back. This is basically a lost situation, a potential flawless round for the attackers as is, or sorry, for the defenders as is.
Yeah, jumping down at this point, there's no way. Save the AWP, as we do tend to say. 2 air jabs are going to be going off, but, there's no way for him to get the kills off of those air jabs. And really, it was an anticlimactic, nothing burger type of ending to a round. It failed, he realized this, and there was just no point just to keep on putting the pressure on the objective. And, as I said, he just saved his KD here.
Right, and with that round comes more confidence for Nordics and less for Ancients. They're going to definitely have to rethink the strategy that they used in last round. Maybe be a little bit more cautious about how they take this next round, especially going down 90, now knowing that that Valkyrie will be sitting below. They might actually have to predict her position and play a little bit off of roam clear. That could stretch their team a little bit thin if they don't play careful enough. Hopefully they will be able to, but let's see as the round plays out.
So something quite interesting, we're going obviously elsewhere, we're not going to be aviation again. So Ancients cannot just think to themselves, what didn't work out, let's fix what was flawed and let's try again. Since obviously everything is going to be different from the composition to the playstyle because of that different bomb site. Looking at the defenders, they will absolutely adapt to it. So we see both Mozzie being played by Storms and Vigil by S4, indicating a strong will to roam. Bosak will be again putting his signal disruptors down in such a way to, first of all, deny intel, and with those remaining, he will be protecting the reinforced walls. Skies, I have not quite seen where the evil eyes have been, so you know, sometimes you'll put them in such a way to harass, say, the Hibana's Excaros. You might want to have them more or less hidden to do so before they get destroyed, but in that instance, I expect them to be more on the objective than to use them as a, say, Valkyrie camera outside of the bomb site.
So something interesting that we're going to see here is the fact that Habana is only being played on a seemingly hard breach heavy site, where normally most teams play off of the master bedroom walls, or yeah, the master bedroom walls going into the main objective being statue. Rather, this situation, we're going to be seeing less of an emphasis on hard breaching, but more of an emphasis on top floor roam clearing. So if the attack is able to be successful on their attempts, which so far it seems like they have been, they might be able to make their way through the objective without having to use any hard breachers. But of course, Vigil coming up on their back flank is going to prevent a little bit of that mainstream push. Might be able to see how
Absolutely.
Vigil can waste time for them.
Well, with his position known, the time wasting, say, intent will be quite passive. Fate kind of knows there's somebody in his general area behind him, so he kind of knows he has to be cautious when pushing forward. Even though S4 is no longer there, he's been droned there, and last heard of, he was on that general area, which is why you'll have Homie using one air jab on those red stairs to just make sure that he cannot just sneak up on you. Fate still is going to be holding that angle with his gun, which is ultimately the best way of doing things. And Jap will also be putting a bit of a pressure through the astronomy window, but his angle of vision is quite narrow, and he's not going to be seeing anything. As I say this, however, he is clueless, and that's going to be a free kill. Wow.
Free kill for him in a 1v1 situation with 45 seconds left. Bozak and Jap going at it now, with Habana being the sole attacker alive. She does have the diffuser, so she does have the ability to plant, but with this in hand, the defenders win out the round due to that powerful SMG that Bozak possessed at very close range.
Absolutely, that Evil Eye also was there, feeding real-time intel, and obviously Hibana had no utility to get rid of that. So it was just there's no way out of it. Intel was being fed. Mute had the advantage in that situation.
Of course, and something that was interesting was the fact that you had said that Vigil, he was kind of dead stopped by the Buck, attempted to go up the side stairs into 90, but he still made his presence known. You know, if I were to play the devil's advocate kind of on your statement there, he still had made his presence known. Not only that, it was a deterrent. It made the attackers have to rethink their strategy and kind of go about it a little bit more passively, a little bit more cautiously as they advanced down the hallway, right? You
Indeed.
obviously saw that the Buck was watching his angles more often. He kind of knew something was around, or it was a little fishy for him to just walk in. But in the end, it was the Vigil himself that came back and had to waste time for his team. Of course, he didn't make as much of an impact as he expected to, but overall, that waste of time led to more intel for the defense, led to refrags, led to, you know, whatever you want to call it, in order for them to get that upper hand on the attackers and them to get the extra frags that they just needed to make it even, get us to that 1v1 that we saw, and eventually finish off the round.
Absolutely, fair statements. What I kind of like to see coming from Ancients is the composition. You do see Ashe pretty much every round. Keen Minds, I believe, is always playing Ashe, so they're not like rotating who gets to pick Ashe. As far as I know, I've not paid too much attention on who's playing which operator. But the point is, Ash is a rushing operator and kind of aggressive play, not exactly like slow and methodical wins the game. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And you know, for the show, for the spectacle, run in, guns blazing is always nice to see. Are there a few bullets hole there? They absolutely were present. Lucky getting an easy kill, and Keen Minds had no real chance of shooting back. So that's gonna leave us with Hame trying to get a few bits of intel on his opponents, which are going to be first of all Lucky behind those bullet holes, and also Bosak who was not drowned due to the mute jammer, and Lucky thanks to, I believe, a pest. However, second drone is going to get the intel, and that's now going to be green light for the attackers to push in and to get, hopefully, that kill on those few remaining roamers.
Yeah, and for a dual roam strategy to be pulled out here is going to have to be a fast one, with Storms picking up the kill on Sergeant Taylor. The IQ at hand, that's going to put us to a 3v4 situation, about 125 left on the clock. Fate and Hame are left on the top floor, just with themselves and really their wits. So with the defenders cleared out of top floor, this roaming strategy has so far turned into a very passive one, and one where they can very easily take advantage of with, of course, that whole surface area comment. They still do have the ability to flank around, and yeah,
They
definitely
absolutely
seems like,
doing.
yeah, that's what Lackey and Bozak are doing with a double kill for themselves, and seemingly lost situation for the attackers once again.
So Jap was able to get the first kill, but there was still Bosak who was actively working on the flank, and we do see, oh, barely the tip of the gun here was being shown, and that's going to allow Jap to know that somebody was there. Pulse will also just keep on getting that sweet intel. So should have Jap just held the angle, held the line, he would have been quite difficult to notice. You know, human eye is attracted to movement and all. But Pulse was able to just circumvent that small little, say, feature of the human brain, and thus win the run for him and his team.
Interesting way to put it, but of course, nonetheless a great explanation. Now with a 3-0 scoreline, we get put into our fourth round, and so far Nordics looks like they're on a warpath to take a 7-0 lead from Ancient. So if they can't make back their rounds, they might be a little bit lost here going into defense rounds, but with a interesting enough, the 6th pick, we're going to be seeing Twitch to IQ. I'm actually quite surprised, to say the least, at that pick. What do you think was the point behind that one? A simple one at that.
Both operators kind of do serve the same role, is to get rid of a utility. So Twitch would send the drones, talking about, for example, I don't know, mute jammers, Jaeger ADSs. You send the Twitch drone in to destroy the thing, or IQ will be at the bottom floor and use the use her gadget basically to see where it is and destroy it through the verticality. So is it because of the gun? I would not imagine so, because Twitch's gun would be considered better than IQ's commando. Plus, knowing or assuming that they know that Maestro is going to be in the composition, well, Twitch's drone has better chances of destroying the evil eyes rather than IQ's electronics detector. So, really, I am pretty unsure, to be quite frank with you, as both operators do serve a really similar function. Is it just because of player comfort, or how much they on the personal level like the gun or something? I don't know.
Oh, as much as you'd like to say that they have a similar utility purpose or gadget purpose, the one thing that we can spot out that's different between the two is that IQ detects while Twitch executes, right?
Yeah.
She will take out gadgets, but IQ still has that ability to spot out those gadgets that Twitch might not be able to see in the first place. So it really comes as a specific edge where IQ can see things that aren't necessarily tangible, while Twitch can only take out the extremely tangible objects, and only with about 5 charges to her gadget doesn't really leave too much room for well, her to go in and do so.
But you know, the dissecting capabilities are only going to be important when going against cloaked or otherwise hidden gadgets. So think of Valkyrie cameras and the palm trees on both coastline and consulate. Or even goo mines, but neither of those operators are going to be present in the current round. So is it just a unfortunate wrong guess on Ancient's part? I don't expect so, especially since it was a 6 pick. They had access to the composition of their opponents before while choosing to swap the operators. So really, it is going to remain a secret for both of us. But
Not
should
exactly.
we just... Not exactly?
Mozzie. Drones.
Oh,
It's the easiest
yeah.
way to seed out drones.
Oh, yeah, that's actually quite brilliant. Actually, yes, I totally agree with you. I had not looked at the problem this way, but you are absolutely right.
Either way,
Drones,
let's
drones
let's
are
get
easy
back
to
into the
spot,
round.
but the question is, are they yours or are they not? Yeah, getting back into the round, because the final push is set to happen pretty quickly here.
Yeah, of course, with 40 seconds left in the round, Habana and Hame, being the Nomad, are going to be advancing down, landing with the support of IQ at their heels. So this is going to be a potential horizontal push into games room, I think. No, is it? Not actually
So
quite
right
sure
now
what the
he's
room
in
is.
the
I
hunting
completely forgot.
vault.
Either way, it's the B objective, and yeah, it's gonna execute a plant now. But with this being said, the plant's going to be stopped,
Oh,
and with
no.
lots of engagements, a 1v4 situation already for the IQ to be left alone. About 5 seconds in the round. That is a lost engagement for her. Wow. So let's actually take a look at what happened and what went wrong for the attack in the last, well, good 30 seconds of the round. So when you're talking about those different outlets you can get to the objective, the attackers had quite a few. So my question is for them, why did they all funnel into one? And why did they not secure the objective before actually planting? Because when you secure the objective before planting, having those ulterior angles into Habana's way covered, you leave much less of a gap or space that can be used against you. And for that, we didn't really see too much of that going on for the attackers. They just kind of made a last-ditch effort into the objective. It really seemed like a indecisive way of going about it, but they all just threw themselves at the aviator. Sorry, I completely blanked out there. But yeah, aviator, and they seemingly just not only threw themselves at it, but didn't support each other in the way that they should. If that makes it any easier to understand, they didn't hold each other's angles correctly,
They weren't a
and
team, basically.
yeah, it allowed the defenders to get really easy ways of walking through the objective and simply killing every single attacker out and flushing them
So,
out.
Attackers are moving out.
currently, we're in the 5th round, and it is a 0-4 scoreline. So, the Ancients team's fans that I presume are going to be in the audience will be getting a bit worried here. I can only assume. The only silver lining I can find, given the current situation, is that we've been here before and we've done that in the past. Been here, done that, you know. Same defense, same room, same execution from the Nordics team. So they're going to be somewhat predictable here, and that could be a small detail, but not to underestimate. That could help Ancients to win the first round. Like Keen Minds, he absolutely knew where S4 was going to be. Admittedly, he had been droned out, but more than the specific position before even going into the objective or into the building, they knew where the general positions of the defenders were going to be.
Alright, so we're gonna see Ash entry fragging into the building already. South side being contested by the one and only, and now with a little bit of support from her, that's gonna be lots of damage for the Ash. Unfortunate as it is, 5v4 situation now with Sergeant Taylor picking up the kill on Storms, the Mozzie being out of play. Now, the attackers are able to take full, complete control of Aviator as well as Vault, with Jaeger inching up the stairs. He's going to be taken out by that fateful, well, fate, being as it is, Vigil now taking his turn at it and going back to play a little bit more passively. Good on him. So now he can play a little bit off time.
Yeah,
And
that was
yeah,
not a firefight
yeah.
he wanted to engage in. Definitely
Right.
not.
Right. That now he can now use the surface area to, well, compete towards an advantage. But with a 4v3 situation, 1 minute left on the clock, this still does leave lots of time for the attackers to make their way through landing and potentially secure the objective. But of course, they're going to have to go through Vigil and now Maestro if they want to win this round.
So the numerical disadvantage here is only going to get worse for the defenders as s11 gets a kill, gets immediately refragged, double kill. Though as I see it, I'm not exactly sure who got the second one. Nonetheless, Skies will have to get a 2-piece pretty quickly, and the attackers will have to try their best at getting the diffuser planted. It is in Jap's possession, so the silhouette on the right that we see here, and Sky is thinking to himself, not worth it, pulling back, reloading, and maybe even using the evil eyes if they're still standing to his advantage. Oh, that's unfortunate. Will he get pushed though? That's the question. And no, he'll absolutely have the time to, well, reload the gun. The bad news is Jap. Oh, he did not see that flank. I can only assume it was due to crouch walking. Yeah, exactly. And Jap did. Oh no, he even ran a bit. Well, that caught Maestro off guard, and that's gonna be first round 1 for Ancients.
In a round, definitely, well deserved, to say the least, for them. They took complete control, dominated the round through and through, and it would have been a miracle, frankly, if the Maestro was able to come back, especially with such a low mobility gun. But in the end, we still do love to see the proceedings. Of course, that is not going to leave the Ancients with a 7-0 scoreline, as I predicted at once. But this being said, this is going to be the last round before the role swap. So do you have any comments on that you want to kind of add to the conversation?
My question would be, this map is pretty much, it's not exactly even, but I would say the defense is not too advantaged as we've seen on some other maps. You know, there's no single objective where there's so few ways of funneling into. For example, we're coming off of a cast on the map Clubhouse and the basement area, you know? If you're able to just get rid of the hard breaching capabilities, it's pretty predictable where the attackers are going to be coming from, and you can react to that accordingly. Here, it goes both ways. There are many ways into the objective, but there's also many ways to roam. So I would say I don't expect a total turn of the tides as soon as we have the role swap, but still, defending would be a good opportunity for Ancients to bring back a few of the rounds that they've lost here. Correct me if I'm wrong. As always, you're the better analyst out of us two. And we definitely do see Nordics being more aggressive. So Storms was preparing an actual cell spawn kill. He decided against it as he saw that nobody spawned where he was looking. Skies apparently was in a similar situation. He was holding an angle, didn't fire a single bullet because he didn't see anybody. But definitely, you don't want to be spawn peeking or spawn killing too early on, because then you're going to be predictable for the upcoming rounds. Nordics apparently deciding that the spawn kill and the really high aggressive plays are best kept for their last round before the role swap. Unfortunately for them, it's not, or fortunately if you are an Ancients fans, it's not going to produce any results.
Of course, and with the IQ now making her entry into the building, we're going to be seeing a very dominant south side take coming from the landing. So the interesting part about this take from the attackers is the fact that they are being completely aggressive walking to the objective, a 3v4 situation. Lots of kills for the defense, however. That's going to be more of a trade in terms of the defense. They're going to take the advantage out of that situation from a rush strategy. But Ash, she does have lots of control of this top floor now, with Statuary being held by the attackers regardless. But with Mute sitting in a corner and Trophy, that's going to be an unprecedented challenge for the defenders. This is going to be a 2v4 turn of the tides for the attackers, now being out of favor.
that's also diffusers are lost, so Kane absolutely has to get back. He technically has currently control on site, and the attackers have no clue that the site has been vacated. Kane getting back the diffuser. Jap inflicting sadly no damage on his opponents. Second try will not work either. Now Keynes will have next to no opportunity or no options but to plant the diffuser, and obviously he was not going to do that with no cover. First kill works, second barely doesn't, and that second try is going to get a kill of from Bosak with the shotgun on a fairly long range considering the standards of this weapon, thanks to the many bullets he was able to land with the first strafe of the SMG-11.
Alrighty, so rounding out a pretty dominant round for the defenders, we're going to be seeing this beautiful role swap we do know and love with a 1-5 score line. So, of course, one round one for Ancients and 5 rounds one for Nordic, but with this map being seemingly, however, a defense-sided map for these guys, we might be able to see some more success after this role swap. So a little bit different actual team composition set up here, rather than having a composition towards intel or utility. We'll be seeing some hard breaching countering going on with Kaid. We haven't really seen him too much being played before, and I'm quite interested to see his impact he's gonna have on this round.
Absolutely. So Thatcher, let's just remind ourselves, has been banned. So why do you throw that there exactly? He's tossed it on. I'm not exactly sure what this Artila is supposed to accomplish. Yeah, he wants to electrify that reinforced wall, but it is technically vulnerable to a peek of coming from that main door, so I'm not exactly sure if it's the best idea ever. Maverick is not the composition either, not due to a ban, but just because he has not been picked. So hypothetically, I don't know exactly why you want to put it there, but there you go. That's going to be Homey's choice, and the other ones are obviously going to be electrifying those reinforcements right here. That's going to be it for the setup. Let's take a look at the execution. First of all, the attackers are absolutely going to be coming from Master's bedroom. Coming from there, the defense is absolutely set to receive them. Keen Minds would be the first line of defense in that situation.
So it's really interesting to see that both sides of the spectrum, we do see a very decisive, entry into the building, right? Sledge coming into master bedroom, followed by multiple teammates. It obviously makes for really good beginnings to the round. Of course, with about only a minute down, we do see the attackers being pretty, contesting, I guess is a word to put it, into the building. They're making waves as time goes on, but the big objective obviously is going to be across the map, and it's going to take time, effort, utility, whatever you want to call it, to get there. So that's, of course, that's always going to be the toughest situation for them to put themselves in.
And the 1v5 was just not going to happen. The shield's positioning was quite clever. Jaeger was able to... Oh, that's going to be a nade for a nitro cell. And Lucky does not have to get a phone call to get his gadgets to blow up. So that is... Oh, and it also puts Sergeant Taylor in a down but not out stage. Jap running out, getting a nice kill, running immediately back in. He was quite exposed, with Skies unfortunately not holding the angle at the exact moment of, let's call that a quick little run out, and that is probably going to be reinforced wall opened. Jap obviously going to go to try and destroy those X-Caro's pellets, and the pressure is absolutely set to come on the objective. Home is holding the angle. On the other side, you do have Sergeant Taylor with a somewhat small line of sight on the other bomb site though, and yeah, I would say Aviation is pretty exposed right now. Should the attackers be able to get a well-organized push together.
So 90 now being contested by the attackers. It seems like Smoke is making his way through the objective now. Habana, the main planter, being taken out of play with a 2v1 situation. The Tides just completely turned 1v1. There's lots of kills going down. 1v1 situation, very, very high intensity with Hame having to pick this one up if he wants to
He
win out the
canceled!
round. Cancel, but oh,
Operators, you have run out of time.
It would probably have worked had he just like stuck to his guns and just gone for the plant. It would probably have worked. Kaid was not in a position to counter it immediately. Like, you know, he had to get a couple of footsteps in to be able to, well, walk around the door that was blocking the view at that moment. And he was out of nitro cell. So that was really just the, was it, who was it who was landing? Hame, I want to say. I'm not sure. But that was just the attacker having the jitters.
it could be misinformation too, if you want to really attribute it to that. To be fair, it was a really good round for the attackers at the beginning, right? But I think once the execute happened, it kind of all fell apart in that way. When the attackers attempted to secure a part of the objective without completely taking it over, without having the 100% intel that they required to take over that objective, they were bested by their misinformation. They were ultimately taken out by those angles that they honestly didn't expect the defenders to be holding, maybe, or just got completely outsed by them. There's a million different explanations, of course, as to why they lost their different firefights, but in the end, it just was too overwhelming for the attackers to handle. Of course, the nitro cell from below was able to dead stop the plan. By that time, it was really a lost round for the attackers.
I believe it was not a nitro stuff from below. I think it was just Kaid that tossed it from the other bomb site, which would explain why he didn't have it in his back pocket when
True.
the end of the round came. And I will just want to correct myself real quick. When I was saying that I don't know who was planning the diffuser, who had control of it, I was guessing on players on the Ancients team, but I failed to pick up on the role swap. So no, it was actually on Nordics that the error was made. With that being said, let's just jump into the 8th round. So far, we're going off of like a sample of one round since the role swap, but still, Ancients are so far able to win back the disadvantage that they were in due to, well, the rounds that they weren't able to win when they were themselves attacking. Lackey immediately destroying the castle barricade. So if Castle was using that gadget to play off of time, better luck next round. However, in S4 with the Claymore at the bottom floor, he apparently knows that somebody's going to be down there. That somebody is going to be Sergeant Taylor, and probably Keen Minds will be the first one to come back up. Nonetheless, that Claymore will be pretty easy to spot, and thus I don't really expect the defenders to jump into that trap and to get bested by it.
Of course, really, the Claymore is more so used for intel than anything else. It really just alerts the attackers that the defenders are in the area and actively seeking to take out any, well, reinforcements to a flank. But regardless, the Eager is going to be taking the opportunity, but he gets bested by the Claymore that he didn't expect to happen. And with more kills going on, Hame is going to pick up one operator, but get refrag, get bested in that situation by the amazing intel from a teammate. Now with a 2v2 situation at 1 minute left on the clock, Japanadian, and one other that's going to be Maestro Fate. Yeah, Fate is going to be on the board for the defenders, while Storms and Lackey will be on the board for the attackers. One operator staying in the master bedroom, while the other actively in the objective. Did get damaged a little bit there by the smoke. And now with Fate picking up the kill on Storm. So the sole attacker left in this journey will be Lackey. Sledge is going to be making his way down Statuary Room, attempting to, well, best the smoke in a one-on-one combat, but he will not be successful as the defenders pick up round 8. Ancients. Amazing for them.
Opening a small parenthesis here, since it was a 4v5 Nordics, just let's keep an eye on the in-game chat. Are they going to ask for a rehost? So far, it does not appear to be the case. I don't really see why they would not ask for one, considering they're at a disadvantage. Oh. Alright, leave the game. I will recreate the lobby real quick. So that's going to be just me posting the replays. I'll let you talk about that. And yeah, I'll be just setting up the next round. The replay. Yeah, so so far, how's it looking for you?
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
You appear to be muted. I see you talking, and I'm not deafened on Discord, so...
Yeah, I was muted myself, but what I was saying is Ancients, being on the defense, they still do have an opportunity to bring back the rounds that they lost, so I would not put them counted out for the rest of this game. However, again, they're going to have a steep hill to climb, especially going up against the power that is Nordics. They're completely dominating most firefights that they get themselves into. So I think it really is going to come down to who can win out the most firefights, who can play as a team the best, who can really take advantage of the situation and find those kills that will equate to the least collateral for your team, right? Rather than taking those face-to-face gunfights, you might want to take the nitro, the grenade, the utility that we've been seeing has been used so very often, and put that into higher use than just winning out individual engagement, right? Kind of equating to the whole round, making an impact frag.
Alright. Saris,
Oh.
so somebody in the chat just asked, can we see the leaderboards, please? That is unfortunately not going to be possible anymore due to that replay. It would be sweet, actually, if we were able to have some sort of a auto rehost function, because the screen for you guys on the stream is really small here. But like I imagine, and round number 5 was, sorry, I'm doing two things at one: trophy won by the blue team. And once again, we went trophy by orange team this time. Yeah, so if Ubisoft was able to like auto rehost, automatically like re-inviting the teams and getting the round counts exactly where it was, because that's like the tricky thing to do. If I mess up in the round's history, we just have to get another rehost. So yeah. That's just me talking out loud because it's a good way of making sure I don't make any mistakes. So, comparing to my notes, first round was Aviation run by Orange Team, indeed. Second round, Trophy, Orange Team again. Dining Room here. You see, I made a mistake. Dining Room, Orange win. Fourth round, Aviation, Orange win. Fifth round, Blue win by Trophies. Sixth round, Orange win by Trophy, and then we went to Aviation and Trophy won by Blue Team twice. Great. So I kind of cut you off there. Do you want to like just keep on getting back into what you were saying? The technically tricky part has now been done and accomplished.
Well, there's not really too much else to go over. Of course, I could analyze and take you through a very thorough and boring and uninviting experience across the rounds, but it wouldn't really do too much justice to the game itself, so I'd prefer to kind of wait it out and see what action we can see in-game itself. But of course, we see that the rehost already is taking function, so we'll be in the game pretty soon.
Absolutely, and pretty soon would be pretty much right now. Just to reiterate, we are going to be at a 5-3 situation. Nordic still leading, still trailing ahead. What was that for a pronunciation? However, Ancients are defending. Ancients have the easy role at this point, and they were absolutely able to work off of that, say, advantage that they find themselves in. Slowly but surely bringing back the lost round. Will it be enough? That's like the big question that remains to be seen, but I absolutely do expect them to try their best. You know, we've seen them just give up. I believe it was the first or the second round. They knew the situation was not winnable, and the last player alive didn't even try. But as a team, they're not going to give up on the game itself.
Right, of course, and can't really, at this point, give up on the game. But we're going to be seeing 2 6 picks, one from Nomad to Buck, and I'm not sure where the other one was from, but I knew it was to Mozzie, so we can only imagine that the defending team is just trying to put a little bit more of an emphasis on, well, frankly, intel. So, with the 6 pick from Nomad to Buck. However, I'm not really quite sure what the attacking team was trying to get done there, especially because Nomad does serve a higher purpose over Buck than really you can imagine. Because, of course, they already do have a sledge, so that's going to be your soft breaching operator. And then the Nomad really just goes above and beyond what Buck can do, and especially for this site being dining and kitchen, a tertiary site, it's really good to have that objective in mind rather than a death match, especially because you know the defense isn't as well versed on it, so they might kind of overextend themselves or play a little bit too aggressive, and therefore you can kind of take advantage of the objective. But regardless, that is going to be a situation already well underway, so we can't change that anymore. But we will, however, be seeing a very aggressive attempt at taking the library, aka trophy room, away from the Mozzie. So the Mozzie's going to pick up that 1 kill. It's going to be on Buck, but he will be very swiftly refragged by Lackey. That is going to put us at a 4v4 situation, and control is going to be contested for the top floor.
So we were talking about IQ versus Switch earlier on. Should there be a pulse at the right time here, he would be done for. Unfortunately for Nordics, no such operator is present in the current round. Sergeant Taylor going for the roam. You wouldn't expect a Doc or a heavier operator to do so. Like, I don't know, maybe I would have expected Castle to go roaming, since his gadget is not really going to interfere with his playstyle. But nonetheless, Sergeant Taylor with the ACOG trying to do his best, unfortunately, distracting the attack from the, well, attack on the objective itself, but only temporarily. As he has pulled back, he's now in the basement, expecting to be flushed out by some anti-roaming capabilities, droned out maybe? I don't know. He seems overly cautious to me, and in the current situation, he's not really contributing to his team's effort. So temporarily, it's pretty much going to be a 3v4. If you are a Ancients fan, you would expect, or you would hope him to get into the action as soon as possible, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's now holding the line on that hatch, which would be a possible entryway, or which would be a possible way to lead into the objective. So right now, he is doing as much as he can, considering he's pretty static passive and not actively looking to outflank the attackers.
Right, and of course patience is a really good asset to keep, especially when coming on Villa, having that extended surface area for a good roam. So with keeping patience means that even though Doc might have to wait out a few more seconds, it really will be helpful in the end if he can get a kill or two for his team. But nonetheless, we're going to be seeing lots of hard breaching opportunities for the dining room now with the 3v3 situation. This guy's going to pick up a kill for his team, and that's going to make the odds even. With now a 3v2 situation, odds are a little bit tipped, but defenders taking the advantage on the extra angles. They're going to win out round 9, I believe is what that said.
I believe so, indeed. Unfortunate that it ended with a team kill here, and yes, this is I would say the typical situation where the defenders with their roamers and with the other different say utilities and strategies that they have in place are able to just prevent the attackers from pushing in, or to slow down the attack so much that the timer simply runs out, and then you are forced to just rush in with 10 seconds remaining, and it's going to cause that kind of confusion that we saw right here.
Right, of course. So there's a lot of factors that went into that round, but really at the end, I think it was lots of firefights, impact frags that kind of left the attack wondering what to do next, and it just became a cluster of a ton of different things, which really necessarily shouldn't have happened, but they did, and of course it's done and over with, and it's a new round, which the attackers and frankly the defenders can learn off of. But with the 4-5 score line, into round 10 we do go, and of course this comeback is looking more and more feasible for the defense team, now Ancients, but of course with the last game it looked that way for what was it, Ames? I believe it was.
Yes.
Yeah, in Clubhouse, and of course you know that Nordics was faithful enough to shut that part down. So my question is, will they be good enough as a team, as a power, to do the same here?
You know what? Can I just draw a parallel with another game that the stream is gonna have no clue of, and it's gonna be like the Goal 4 in which we played together yesterday. We had it pretty good when we were defending, but our attacking just fell apart. And yeah, it definitely rings a bell for me. And not just because of the map that we've just casted before. So yeah, the comeback, sometimes it does happen, and sometimes it just get cut short. Like, once again, Nordic only have to win 2 attacks to have the map in the bag, which is not too much to ask for, but they are still going to be at a disadvantage. And will that be a kill? I believe it was. Yes, it does seem like Zofia was droning, so unfortunately Fate, with every intel in the world, is just not able to finalize that kill, and eventually S4 will just get out of the drone. So opportunity missed. It's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate, especially because he had a static pulse for a good 20 to 30 seconds, and he still wasn't able to get the kill.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is...
he was droning, so his audio cues were coming from elsewhere in the map, so he did not know he was actively being shot at. Really unfortunate for Ancients, and I really do hope Fate will be able to watch this as a VOD and figure out why it didn't happen and not miss out on such an easy opportunity next time.
Of course, but we're going to be seeing Doc holding a very forward angle in 90 hallway. Might be able to get the jump on an attacker. Attempted to go on such a balcony, but with Lackey picking up the kill and another down on 2 defenders. That's going to be Pulse out of the way and Sergeant Taylor down, but not out. And with the Doc being up still, might be able to see a stim pistol action going on here. Some sim pistol
I don't think he's in a good
situations.
position to have line of sight and thus revive, and either way that is going to be Maestro revive, but I don't know who
Oh.
exactly that was, but it's a flawless round. Nordic, after losing their first few attacks, are able to show us that they're not defenseless against Ancients' defense, as they show us by not just winning by the skin of their teeth, but with an absolute crushing advantage.
Very quick end to an amazing round for the Nordics team. And one thing to definitely note is that Lackey really made waves on that round, right?
He
He
did,
had the
yeah.
game awareness and the time effectiveness in order to not only to get a down and a kill with a frag grenade when there was no presence of a Jaeger device sitting on the vault, but he also was able to walk into the objective right at the right time to get 2 consecutive kills, not 1, but 2 consecutive kills on the defenders and lead his team to basic victory.
One thing that's quite interesting, or quite impressive, I want to say, I would like to underline the fact that it really does come down to intel and to act upon it. Somehow Nordics, they wouldn't just like throw nades at random, so they had realized that Jaeger was notably absent of the composition on the defender's side, and they were able to act upon it. It was not the first but the second time that frag grenade got a kill and a down but not out on, I believe, Maestro twice. So at this point, the defenders, Ancients, are absolutely aware of that potential flaw. And Keen's, it really does seem to me as if he's going to go for the same defense again. So, no, all 3 of the ADS devices are going to go in the classical hallway. And I do expect somebody, yeah, that's going to be Jap, giving the deployable shield. We saw how Keen Minds was able to slow down the attack, the aggressive attack on the very first round after the role swap. But the first time we've seen this strategy be deployed, he did not get a single kill. Let's see if that's going to work out better for him this time. Apparently,
Hopefully
yes.
it will,
Wow.
but yeah. Keep in mind is going to take out Storm, so it's going to be a pretty big operator for the attack, considering that that is not only a AK-74 being taken away, but a amazing gadget out of the hands of the attackers, and with only a minute down on the clock, so very unfortunate.
The one thing also that really is different is how aggressive he is, or actually how aggressive the whole team would be. As we had next to no roamers, once again making a comparison with the 7th round. This time Fate, though he's not technically a roaming dedicated operator, he's definitely playing on the flank attempt at the very least here. And Keen, previously he was really just basically camping and waiting out behind that deployable shield and conceding or making way as soon as the push was becoming too hard on him. This time he was way more mobile. He went to to trophies to get a first kill. Then he went to office to study, I believe it's called in English, to attempt to hold the angle on that side. He was really more mobile. At the end, it did not work out too great for him, except for the first opening frag. And Fate does not seem too confident on going that way. The good news is he's not gonna have to destroy the Claymore, so his position is absolutely not known, and he will have to make something quickly as the defense is falling apart on the objective itself. Falsely believing your back is cleared, your back is watched, will lead to Lucky's death. It's now a 2v3 situation.
And with about 55 seconds left on the clock, that doesn't leave too much time for the attackers to get in, but they're still going to take control of the objective. But Ame and Fate correlating together, that's going to be a 2v1 situation. So double kill in succession. 40 seconds on the clock, a double kill for Bozak. It's up to Fate to win out the round to keep themselves in this game. Diffuser is down for the attackers, so Valkyrie already has that advantage walking into it, but the IQ is able to pick up the diffuser. Will she be able to plant? That is going to be the question. With time ticking down, it seems like Valkyrie is going to get this upper advantage into Vault. She's going to be able to walk in. Will she be able to get the kill on IQ? We're going to have to see IQ playing a game of Ring Around the Rose. She's going to get engagement, but the defenders win, keeping Agents in the round for one more.
Nice round is all I have to say. Fate, I would have expected him to play a bit more passively, you know. In 2 seconds, if he's not planting, you have a free kill. He went for the firefight. It was, to some extent, a mistake, or not a mistake, sorry, a risk he didn't have to take, but at the end of the day, it panned out for him, so hey, if the results are there, you cannot blame them for doing so. Looking at the replays, Jaeger was really aggressive, way more than the first time. I said this when we saw that in real time. However, it was not sufficient for him. Once again, clever from Fate to circumvent and short circuit basically that Claymore, thus keeping his flank attempt a secret up until the very moment he got a kill. Nicely done. Nicely done from the defense. And in the end, they were at a disadvantage, but they were able to bring it back. So, can I just say that the whole round was nicely done. Fate getting a triple kill by that. So he got a kill. No, that's right. The Nitro blew up. It was Kaid who got the kill. So double kill for Valkyrie only. And then the final kill cam that got her the triple kill.
Of course. I mean, what an amazing round for Fate. That was outstanding by him to be able to jump over the stairs and it's basically just outsmarting the Claymore is what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
It's in the most hilarious way, but
you know what? You gotta bait the baits and put another Claymore over the ramp.
It is. You gotta bait out the bait, but Castle, that character selection, are we ready for that conversation yet? Because I'm not quite sure if we even are for it being a statue and trophy.
I don't know. It's quite an open site, or an open duo of sites. So all in all, cutting off a few lands aside cannot be too bad of an idea. But at the end of the day, castle barricades are just so much weaker than the standard reinforced wall. If you look at the composition here, Sledge, Zofia, Hibana will be able to open the castle barricades with minimal effort, and then the two remaining operators, being Nomad and IQ, still do have their standard melee options to destroy it, albeit a bit slower. At the end of the day, the only thing that you can really hope for is to, first of all, prevent a lucky wallbang, but that's not really happening too often. And second of all, delaying the push, which absolutely will not happen. Once again, a few gadgets can take care of those barricades instantly. And what's also going to get a kill instantly is the impact nade on the floor, which will allow Keen Minds to get a nice kill. And that looks like we're going to go to overtime. Sky is already in a 1v4 situation. He was able to open up the reinforced wall, but now his position is known and he has nowhere to go.
That is so unfortunate. It was really an aggressive engagement that didn't need to happen between the attackers and the defenders. I know they thought they had the objective secured, or they could potentially get the, the jump on the defenders, but it just wasn't enough. It's the difference between real, thought out gun skill, the reaction time, and just at that point expecting the rush. But of course, it was still an amazing attempt from the attackers, and hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes when we go into overtime, if we do.
If we do, the comeback is still possible, and it would be absolutely beautiful to see it happening. Since Sky's got the first kill, that comeback would kind of imply either the diffuser to be successfully planted and protected, or an ace, and I'm not against any of those, nice underdog comeback stories, which as casters is what we live for, but it's not going to be obvious or easy. His position is obviously known, as there is a pulse in the defender's composition, and subsequently holding aggressive and tight angles is going to lead to an easy kill from Keen Minds, who didn't take any fire in return, so he just had such a strong positioning that Hibana had no time to turn around before she was dead.
Yep, and there we go. That is going to be the end of our regulation rounds. We're going to be put into overtime. So that was really interesting for us to go into overtime even with a 2-point lead for a 2-point loss for Agents, but it's a comeback and a half for them, right? They came back on a 3-5. They came back on a 4-6. So I'm just really interested to see what is in store for them on these defense fronts.
Absolutely. So first of all, one thing I want to point out is in the overtime situation here, the first team to defend in overtime is set at random, and the the gods of Ubisoft have decided Ancients are going to get to defend first. So we've seen throughout the whole game that the defense has it way easier than the offense. That would hypothetically put Ancients at odds to win the whole map, since, well, they will be defending first. Presuming every defense is won. Ancients is in a 76 scoreline, Nordic defends 77, but then Ancients defends again, which would then hypothetically allow them to win the whole map, which is where, unlimited overtime can be really interesting, but we're not, say, in a finals playoff best of 3 situation, so really it might come down to whichever team is able to win one of the 3 upcoming attacks.
Of course, great way to put it.
And looking at this, I am going to just run through the history that we have. We are playing Trophy, and Trophy has been won once by Ancients when they were attacking, and actually once... No, it's never been won by Nordic when they were attacking. So looking at the historical data, it does not look too promising for Nordic.
Unfortunate as it is, they might be coming up to their first absolute loss. It's going to be an unfortunate turn of events if they come up to a 7-6 scoreline after being in the lead for such a long time.
Absolutely. It is, you know, it's always disheartening when you see yourself with such a big lead and then it just gets snatched away. You know, it's the feeling of losing losing someone dear to you. Okay, I'm over exaggerating, but you know, you felt like you had it and then it just slips out of your hands. It's really, you really are just disappointed in yourself because at the end of the day, if they're able to best you, you weren't just good enough. And
I
to
mean-
me, that's like the motivation to get better. But the game is not yet over, so let's not mourn just yet. The first kill was in Ancient's favor. However, hard breaching is occurring as we speak, and the anti-roaming capabilities, or the anti-roaming game, is also in full swing. S4 is juggling between two roamers, which eventually will lead to his doom. Fate on the top floor is able to get a nifty little angle on him. And Skies will be pushing into the objective here. Keen Mind's getting another kill. Lucky being put down as well, but tossing a grenade before he gets dealt with. That's going to give him a kill, but still, Skies in now a 1v4 situation on his left side. The opponent, I believe, is Smoke, and Smoke is really... It's not Smoke. Okay, first kill for 3v1. Skies now with 42 seconds remaining on the clock. He can maybe do it if he is fast enough, but it's not going to be easy. The odds are still stacked against him.
Of course, unfortunate as it is, she's going to be making her way through the bathroom, kind of pushing back to the master bedroom, holding her angles, attempting to find one of the defenders out of place where she can take advantage of any situation she puts herself into. So, yeah, that's going to be an unfortunate loss for Sky. Sergeant Taylor is going to really take advantage of the situation, hear the sound cues that Abana is going through her breach hole, and, well, take the kill. Capitalize.
Absolutely. And now the tables have totally turned. Ancients are at odds to win the game, as they are now in a match point situation. But they'll have to win a round as the attackers, which is, once again, looking at the historical data, unlikely. And yet, if they're capable to do so, we will be surprised and pleasantly, or yeah, surprised in the positive way.
Pleasantly surprised at
Pleasantly
that.
surprised.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you.
Yeah, Ancient has been absolutely outstanding so far in their showing, being able to come back. So I am quite excited for this round. This round is going to, well, it's going to show us a lot of what this game has to offer in terms of skill, in terms of team chemistry. It's going to be a big round for both teams.
Bomb located by attackers.
Oh, it absolutely will. And yet, I don't see too much being drastically different. Like, you know, Valkyrie and Maestro are nothing new. Jaeger was being played by Nordics quite a few times.
10 seconds.
Smoke, obviously, since we've seen so many rounds being played due to the timer running out. And Mute, well, he is always good to have both to deny the hard reaching and to deny the intel. Funny enough, the counter to the protection, to the extra protection to the reinforced walls will be Twitch, but she herself is vulnerable to the exact same jammers that she will be sent to destroy. So should Mute be clever enough, that's going to be reinforced walls next to impossible to open up for Jap here. We have Fate going for a decisive and aggressive insertion into the building. Is there somebody in the general area to prevent them from coming in? No, the roaming seems to be pretty passive, or actually next to non-existent. We can only see Lucky is holding an angle outside of OBJ, not really actively roaming. So next to no contestation. No, that's more of a French word. They won't be contested their entry into the building. I believe I've still used a technically a French word in an English context, but you guys get the point. We are walking right up to 90s hallway without seeing any defenders, but now the heat is turning on as S4 was firing a few warning shots, but retreating into the objective right away.
Alrighty, I had to fix my volume mixer there really quickly, but again, we will once again be seeing the attackers inching their way through 90 hallway, attempting to open up that vault that we do know and love, with Smoke taking the opportunity to hopefully get some hit points on the attackers, unfortunately with no avail. But Maestro, he's now holding his eyes on any intel opportunities he can see for his team. And that, of course, is going to lead to broader opportunities to see those attackers and really predict what their next moves are going to be. So far, it seems like a pretty broad scenario for them to put themselves into, right? They have two opportunities which they can take. They can either choose to make a horizontal push on to the aviator room coming in through the backside, or they can choose to go through the vault and or the B objective. So it really leaves quite a lot of scenarios, opportunities open for them on either way. But of course, with the added factors of, let's say, Buck, Twitch coming in and getting droned out herself, we might be able to see some early picks. And as I say that, Valkyrie is going to down the Twitch. A lot of misinformation going on there. A definite engagement that could have been completely undermined. A 3v5 situation. That's going to be a second kill for Storms. 2v4. Now 2 operators left. 1 operator, Fate, solely left. 1v3 is going to pick up 1, but he gets downed in the process. Storms picking up his, I believe, 4th kill of the round, if not 3rd.
I'm not exactly sure either, but still, he was definitely doing the heavy lifting, and he was instrumental in winning that round. But you know what was also instrumental was the time. Once again, we were down to, I believe, 30 seconds, and all 10 players were still up, which would indicate and would to some extent imply that nothing has happened early on, and thus every capability or every gun, every operator, every gadget was still up in the objective, making the reinforcement, making the site itself and an extra hard nut to crack, you know? The verticality was being played as well. You see that a lot of walls or floors, sorry, were destroyed, both from the defenders trying to keep a tight angle, tight line of sight on the, I believe it was a staircase, and Buck was also causing mayhem. So that was greatly limiting the amount of angles the defenders could hold without being exposed to the bottom floor.
Interestingly enough, as much aggression as the defenders saw, it really seemed like their passive strategy worked out up until the end, right? Being patient, waiting out time really worked out for them because the attackers kind of had that misinformation, right? They weren't droning as efficiently as they could have. They weren't necessarily playing off the intel. They weren't really getting into the areas which they should have been securing in order to finalize their holding on the objective. And from that, it just caused a stalemate between them and the defenders. And when the defenders are holed up like that, it doesn't allow them to be aggressive, nor does it allow them to, well, get killed. Right? So a 5v5 situation at 30 seconds is a really good proceeding for having an extremely passive strategy, and a great one at that. Yeah.
It absolutely is. Quickly, since the prep phase is already over, Goyo will be making an appearance. We have not seen him yet. Also, Gridlock is there. We've seen her once or twice, so nothing new, but still an unusual appearance. Just wanted to underline that before we get into the actual kills. And also, this is the very last round of the game. No matter what happens, the winner of that round is going to be the winner of the map. And, you know, it's in that kind of situation that I wish we had unlimited OT. But eventually the bracket as a whole will have to move forward. So here we are. Keen Minds has been droned out, and he will be subsequently pushed. He'll be receiving the pressure. I believe S4 opened up that castle barricade with the KS-79, and it was, I believe, Gridlock, when listening to the audio cues from the gun being fired, that was putting the pressure. Nonetheless, Keens did not receive too much accurate fire, so he was not in too much danger, but still, the attackers will be putting together a coordinated effort to get rid of him. That's going to be first kill for Keens. He's still drawn. He seems to know, but not enough. It was on his left, but not hard left enough. There's still another silhouette of the top floor. There's going to be Japanadian, who, as far as I know, has not yet been droned out. So he has advantage of surprise, and he is set to work off it. But oh no, he reveals his position. Does not get the kill on the first attempt. Gets it on the second one, but the advantage of surprise is now lost. Lackey tossing a nade, but he's no longer there. How will that end?
Japanese making the advance towards the Sledge. Does he know he's coming for him?
He's
We're
going
playing
for
a
the
ring
flank.
around the rosy here with Sledge sitting in master bathroom. He's going to throw out a drone. That's going to be more intel opportunities for him to point out where that smoke is, so he does know that there's nobody sitting there. He takes the open opportunity to sit in Astro, but he gets weeded out, turns on the smoke, and finalizes his kill and his control over the top floor. 3v2 situation, now a 2v2. Time is winding down. Sledge is going to get the kill. A 2v0 with defenders, winning out round 15. That is going to be a win for Ancients. Oh my gosh. Wow.
What a game. It's all I gotta say. What a game. Going into the replays for the very last time. Nicely played. Oh, god damn it. I have to do this manually every time. For those of you who don't know, the replays are updated manually, and I just misclicked here. Yes, the roaming phase was looking promising. I did not expect Smoke to get bested the way he did. He was really clever and really resourceful when it was time to evade attacker's detection. His position was not known. As soon as he was droned out, he moved out and thus invalidating what they knew on him again. But when it was time to get the kill, he fired at Lucky, missed the first few shots. Lucky turned around and got the kill. You can only say GG's for the quick reflexes to Sledge in that instance. But at the end of the day, roamers, or clearing the roamers, is only the first part. The end goal is to get a hold of the objective, and this is where everything fell apart, thus leading to Ancients winning the map as a whole.
For sure. Of course, we know that that was a big stalemate between those two. Not a, well, barely a single attack round could be won by either team. And for those attack rounds that could be won, it was not a very pretty sight. It was not a common one either, but of course, beautifully executed by both teams. GG's to them, and of course, they played their hearts out. That was a overtime match point win for Ancients, a comeback victory on their part. As casters, we can't expect anything more than that.
This is what we
wow.
want to see. Absolutely, this is like the the best case situation. Like I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but the only way to have it been to see a better game would have been to have overtime, because given the current rule sets, it was just perfection. I have first of all a question that's gonna seem to be a bit out of subject, but bear with me. Do you know how the seeding works, considering we are in a round robin system? Because, you know, single elimination, highest seeded against lowest seeded, second highest against second lowest seeded. But here, how is winning and or losing going to affect the team they're going to be matched against during the next round here? That's something I'm kind of curious, because I have to admit I don't exactly know how that works.
You know, I'm not quite sure either, to be completely honest with you.
I'll have to look into that. However, on my end, that is going to be pretty much it. So thank you for everybody for being here. The third round is currently, should I say, in. So my small little question will be, who else in the casters is in the ESL casters is casting tonight? So I could like refer or encourage you guys to go over to their channels. Since I know I'm getting off. So far, Poseidon is on. He's already picked a match, which is going to be run it back against PogChamp. PogChamp. We know we know who they are, don't we? Other than that, we had earlier on Cookies and Jess plus ourselves and Poseidon. So my question will be, will they keep on streaming? So far, I have no words coming from them. So let's just wrap this up, shall we?
All right.
All in all, how was the game? I think we're not gonna get into that. So thank you all for being here. Tomorrow I will be on, though I'm not exactly sure 100% how it's gonna work for the first game. I believe you will not be here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I will not.
So Draffer will be absent. I would probably be with Benny, and I'm not sure if he has a second caster with him tomorrow. Don't think so. So what's gonna happen is probably I'll be casting with him the first map, and then you two will be casting, and I will be doing production, as this is something I want to get a bit more into. You know, I'm currently doing both or all three of observing, casting, and producing. So if I concentrate 100% of my mental energy on one single task, I assume the end result is going to be so much better, which is why tomorrow, so starting at the second game, assuming you join us at the second map, we're going to have a three-man production, which would be quite interesting. So, with that being said, I want to, once again, I did not want to get into that. I did not want to get into that. God damn it. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. I was going to prepare the replays before displaying them. So, that is going to be it for us tonight. And I sincerely hope to see every single one of you tomorrow again. But until then, that's going to be it for us. Replays are up, and Poseidon and Jess will be casting. So I guess I'll be hosting one of the two. But until then, see you all tomorrow.